Heyo! Hey, you wrestling fans, we are back. We're back for round 2. Well, I mean, it's episode 23, but why would we say round 2? Because we just recorded damn near all of this show, and ODM realized he wasn't recording. That's how we're going to introduce him today. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the Professor. It's the Top of Wrestling Podcast. Please welcome Mr. ODM.
Ha! Professor is a dead man walking! Because when Professor 25 or 6'4" meets ODM Red Ryder BB Gun, I'm gonna blast his sorry ass straight to hell!
Jeez, Pillman, is that because you're mad because you had to redo the show, or because I just told everybody we had to redo the show?
Hey, it got to 11 minutes. At 11 minutes, something happened. We don't know.
All right, so we didn't go a whole damn near show. We went he went 11 minutes, I went about 30.
I was going to say, we talked for about a half an hour after that, but...
So we shot the shit. Now we're ready to really record. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is episode 23. Can't believe we're here. And it is time to talk about a lot of big things that happened in wrestling just this past week, as well as our today's top topic. And I'm excited about today's top topic because this is, again, I've said it a bunch of times, this is the one company I wish was the original rival against WWE in the mid-2000s. And it had the momentum, I feel like, of an AEW if we just had a little more social media at that point. We're talking about Ring of Honor, and it's going to be a big topic today, a lot of big matches to talk about. But before we dive in, we are going to talk news. We're going to talk some things that happened this week. And, last week we left this episode talking about that we didn't know where Shad Gaspard was. He hadn't been found at that point. We knew that he was missing. And at that point, we knew that a lifeguard was told by Shad, save my son first. And the lifeguard did, and his son is alive, but unfortunately, Shad Gaspard was officially found, and he has passed away. It sucks. I was not like a major, Crime Time fan, but neither of them did any wrong. I was entertained watching them, and I always wish that Shad was going to make a comeback. He was a big dude. I mean, he's Sheamus style size. You know what I mean? Like, that's a big dude that could go. Good fast pace. And I remember when they turned him heel and he beat up JTG. They were trying to, give him a singles run. Kind of like, it was almost like the Enzo the Cass kind of thing. They took the big guy and made him heel.
Sure.
And unfortunately he was found, passed away. I think we kind of knew because at that point, if you don't see the arms waving in the water on an island anywhere, I think we kind of unfortunately knew the inevitable at that point. But I think it was not too long after our show aired, or actually before the show aired, we found out that he actually did pass away. On a lighter note of it, or at least I'll say a positive note for this, how the wrestling community has come together is it kind of makes you speechless because he was well loved in the community of wrestling. I mean, and not just fans. We're talking wrestlers. That he was a very nice guy, very big family man. That's something we'll talk about later when it comes to family members and stuff. One of the coolest things I got to see, and I love it, was there was a photo on the beach, and it looks like the same area where Shad went missing, and it had a number of friends and wrestlers who went to that beach and posed in front of a photo that said Shad. And, I mean, we're talking the likes of Shelton Benjamin, John Morrison was there, and I actually think John Morrison's wife was there too, who's in TNA. And Dolph Ziggler, I'm pretty sure, was there. Kind of looked like him. I can't tell with his hair was pulled back, and I'm like, it kind of looks like him. It was just cool. Everybody said, let's drop what we're doing and let's just go and be there for our buddy's family, because that's what we would want for us. That was one very cool positive thing I liked, how everybody came together. Another thing, and you probably saw us share this on our Facebook over the weekend, someone I haven't talked about in years, man, the Masterpiece, Chris Masters. Once he heard that the search crews had I hate using the words given up, but they kind of expressed everything of efforts that they felt they could. Chris said that's not enough in my own eyes, I guess, and he didn't ask. He's not one of those guys that said, hey, if there's anything I can do, let me know.
He just did.
Because let's be honest with you, George Carlin had one of the best lines about that. Yeah? How about you come paint my fucking house? Like all that stuff. Like really, like no one wants to really do whatever was going to be asked.
Sure.
Chris didn't ask. He saw that search crews were cleaning up, and he called a bunch of friends, and they went and started looking for him. He wasn't the one that found them, but the fact that he just jumped up and said, I need to do this for my brother, I need to do this for his family, because at the end of the day, if I go missing, this is what I want for me. And it's just man, everybody can say whatever they want about wrestling. That fucking comedian who I'm sure you heard recently, who had a lot of things to say about fans. Yeah. I'm not even gonna say that. That actually pisses me off enough. I gotta say, I think as a sport fan base or whatever, wrestling has the strongest fan base because we will live or die defend every one of those guys. You can't do that with football. You really can't. You know what I mean? Or basketball. You can't defend every guy, but every wrestler everywhere, and you want to defend them. And the fact that we support them, and the fact that it comes together as a good brother-sister community like that, seeing how Chris Masters did it and how even fans are responding to this, it just goes to show how big wrestling can be and how it pushes you in a good way to be positive and do the right thing. But not every time, unfortunately, because our society could be a piece of shit sometimes, too. A couple days ago, we heard that a star on the rise from Japan, Hana Kimura, passed away at the age of 22. Nothing natural. She unfortunately took her own life, and it was from the result of cyberbullying. Kimura was a part of a Japanese Netflix show, kind of like a reality show. And from whatever incident or scene that happened on that show, I really don't give a shit. People cyberbullied the hell out of her, like really bad. And for a couple of weeks, she was dealing with it and was posting a lot of depressing things or sad things on her Twitter and Instagram. But the last post was a picture of her arm covered in blood, looking like she slit her wrists. I'm not sure if anything of that. If you really do enough searching, you can find that picture. And as much as I did the searching, because I'm like, well, I got to be able to bring the news to the fans here, right? to our show. I didn't want to see it. It just, it's really sad. Honestly, all right, first, a lot of wrestlers coming out of the woodwork. And one of the first ones that I actually saw post of someone, I don't want to say notable because, I don't know who's necessarily notable in Japan because a lot of people were tweeting about it there, their company. But the first name that came to mind for me was Tama Tonga. And he said, this is such a good friend. Please say it ain't so. Please say it ain't so, or something to the extent of that. And it hit a lot of wrestlers over here, too. Because she performed, actually, in AEW at one point in a multi-women match. She's been seen, man. She's 22. That's too young. And, man, fuck society. I got to say that because, man, you don't know how mentally strong anybody can really be. And I think that the negative that pushed her to do that, it's kind of the tip of the iceberg of just how society can really be. People just shitting on people for no reason, and it pushed her in the wrong direction, man. I mean, it sucks because why not turn it to the way like Chris Masters? Let's turn things into a positive. Let's love on someone. You know what I mean? And it just sucks that a 22-year-old had to take their life because they felt that they couldn't face our world anymore. It sucks. So it's sad and it pisses me off because it just shouldn't happen. And she was a star on the rise. If you watch some of her stuff, she's better than 90% of WWE's talent. A good chunk of AEW's talent. She didn't need to go, and it sucks. So, but our condolences do, from the top of Wrestling Podcast, our condolences do go out to the families of Shad Gaspard and Hana Kimura. I guess we could try. Can we go into anything more sad, do you think?
I think there is something in particular that we could discuss. It would be
All right, what's that?
The season 2 finale of Dark Side of the Ring, which was Owen Hart. I'll just give you my thoughts real quick because I know that you have a lot to say about this. We're both big Hart family fans in general, especially big Owen fans. Looking through the Monday Night Wars, I got to see a lot of his matches when he was tag team champs with Yokozuna, being managed by Cornette. And to watch him work, there was a battle royale they were in, and he was in with Marty Jannetty, and this is obviously post-Rockers. And Jannetty wasn't all that great. He was okay. He was over with the fans, and I remember in this Royal, it looked like Jannetty had a couple botches or whatever, and Owen was kind of micromanaging him. It was really impressive to watch.
Good ring general.
Yeah. Exactly. Thank you. Perfect. But it was nice because it focused a lot on his relationship with his wife and his kids and the type of family person that he was. And it was really heartwarming just to see how loved he was. And then, of course, everything just comes screeching to a halt. Jim Cornette getting teary-eyed at one point was a huge part for me. But yeah, WWE once again comes off in a shitty light, and rightfully so. But yeah, I think you and I
in so many ways too.
Yeah, and I think by the end of this, we kind of both came to the same conclusion, and I'll let you run with it because I know you've got a lot to say about that.
It's funny, man. The amount of texting prior to having this show, we would have just hours worth of just texting back and forth, and just going on about these things. Now we save it for the show, so we don't really give each other our opinions. And I haven't given my opinion about Owen Hart's show yet. Prior to sitting back and watching this show, I have always been the person that said he really does deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, and not just because he died in the ring on their hands. I'm talking because the dude he was the original cruiserweight in my eyes. I mean, he was doing cruiserweight type style moves as Blue Blazer before WCW had a cruiserweight division.
Sure.
He was doing fast-paced moves that he was having guys who are in main event spots having trouble keeping up with him because he was just that good. You come from the dungeon, you have to be that good. Owen, I loved to hate him. I was always a big Hart Foundation fan anyway, whether it was Anvil with him or Owen. And I was so pissed off when he kicked Brett's leg out of his leg at Royal Rumble 94. I love that line. It doesn't get old.
I know.
Actually, when they showed that part in Dark Side of the Ring, I go, they're not going to do that line, though, right? Please don't show that part and showing his botch. And they didn't. But they show Brett walking from the ring. I go, this is the part he says it. Please don't show it. But, all right, first, so I've always been a fan of his. But, again, you love to hate him. He was just so good at hating that you eventually just fell in love with a heel like that. That episode made me change my mind. I don't think he should be in WWE's Hall of Fame. The beginning of the show, you hear, I'm Jim Ross, I'm an announcer for AEW, and I am a WWE Hall of Famer, and I am a Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer, or National Wrestling Hall of Famer, whatever it is. I'm not 100% sure. And I got to be honest, Owen deserves to be in that, the one that JR is in, the real Hall of Fame, because WWE's is bullshit, okay? You got Kid Rock, Donald Trump, fucking Drew Carey in there.
Yeah,
you don't have Ravishing Rick Rude or Owen Hart. You think about these things, and that was always my argument. How do you not put those guys in there? You know what? Martha called it. I'm not allowing Owen to go into a fake Hall of Fame. That was a real thing that was said. It was either her son said it or
I think
Martha.
they both said
Maybe
it.
that was, yeah. First, how eerie was it to see? I mean, Oj looks like Owen, but man, Athena, the long blonde hair, looking just like Owen, man. I mean, of course, you want to be a spitting image of your family, right? But God, it was eerie to look at that. It was almost like seeing David Benoit, and you're like, I think this is Chris Jr. Or this is actually Chris just in his early years. I don't think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I don't think they deserve to have his name in their Hall of Fame. In how Oj said it, you don't get to put his name on a plaque and commemorate him. You killed him. And we're talking the things that you hear from this episode. Again, well narrated by Y2J. Chris Jericho, I hope he does season 3. I know Dutch Mantel did season 1, so maybe Jericho won't be around for this one, but he did awesome this entire season. And it was, I don't know how well timed some of these things were when they're like, well, if we're doing this episode and we're bringing in Godfather for Brawl for All and this and that, we should do the Owen story, because he was supposed to face the Godfather at that pay-per-view. May 23rd, 99, Over the Edge pay-per-view at the Kemper Arena. And the match didn't take place. And they showed a lot of the real footage of that pay-per-view and how things went. You hear Jim Ross talking, they show in the crowd, bam, earlier tonight, here's Owen Hart's interview. They just had to scan to it. And then JR having to say to the crowd that, this isn't real, this isn't scripted, this is real life going on here. And then he was told by Kevin Dunn in his ear, something like, you have 20 seconds before we bring out the next entrant or whatever it is to a match. You have to announce to everybody that Owen Hart's died. They told him, and when you hear him do it, and I had to go back and watch it a couple of times just to hear it. First, when Jerry Lawler comes back to the table, he goes, yeah, it's not good. I've never heard Jerry's voice so
real.
Not Jerry Lawler.
Yep.
Yeah. I was like, I've never heard him talk so calm. He was shook up, you could tell. Like, Jerry, like, if you watch his hands when he's at the table there, he's, like, moving them because I think he's trying to do everything he can to not cry, because he was in the ring with Owen. And from interviews I've read about Jerry Lawler, from when he stepped away from WWE, he said, Owen's head was in my hands, and he was lifeless. He was done. I knew it. But Jim Ross, you hear him say, I have the unfortunate responsibility to let everybody know that Owen Hart has died here tonight. I'd never want to be in that situation, man. That's to let an entire world know. And you got 20 seconds, man.
Yeah.
We're live. Go. Jesus. We're live, pal. Come on. Martha changed my mind. This was not a wrestler. This is a family man. He didn't do this because he wanted to be the greatest ever. He's not looking to be like the CM Punk who was looking to be in WrestleMania events. He was doing this as a paycheck. He wanted to make sure that his kids were taken care of. Some of those home videos, Jesus. Him, like, one of the ones I'm like, you could tell almost the year it was. I'm like, man, this looks like it's right before he went on his rise as a heel. I'm like, it looks like just when he was the Rocket Owen Hart and tagging with Brett for a little bit. The video of her videotaping, it looks like maybe it was like Thanksgiving or something. He's like, we're really blessed and thankful to have our family, our health, everyone's here, we're happy. I'm like, fuck me.
Yep.
Like, that's just so sad, man. I'm like, didn't deserve to die. It should not have happened. And, you go to work, you're expected to come home from work. And I got to say right now, in multiple ways, fuck Vince McMahon. Yeah. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Yes, you've given us wrestling. You've given us a lot of things to like over the years.
Sure.
How you handle shit is not anything I respect. How he handles two things in general out of this episode that we find out bother the piss out of me. He calls Martha and says, Owen's fallen. There was an accident. She said, is he alive? I don't know. Is he hurt? I don't know. Is he breathing? I don't know. What's going on? I don't know. Yo, bro, why did you make that fucking phone call? You should have handed it to a fan in the arena.
Yeah, right.
At least they would have said, well, we're watching him do CPR. Or, you know what I mean? Like, it was just, why in the hell did you make that phone call? At that point, I mean, yeah, you are the owner of the company, but have some information, man. Now she's having to do digging, and then the doctor called to tell her that Owen didn't make it. I teared up, man. No lie. I teared up when hearing her say the doctor said we did everything we could.
Yeah.
What's more fucked up is the show went on, and his friends had to wrestle on the broken boards that his body broke, and the blood of him on the ring.
That was the
worst.
worst.
And they finished a show. By the way, the main event match was Austin, I believe, versus Undertaker.
Oh.
Right? And it's supposed to be a big night. You know what I mean? Like, it's supposed to be a lot of great matches. And I understand that you have main event matches that were coming up. They could have been held off.
Sure.
They did not need to happen right there. And I know that, yes, fans would have been maybe upset a little bit, but I don't think that with what happened, what they physically saw, anybody would have been shocked if they canceled the show right there on the spot. Martha saying the cops should have fucking stopped it too.
That would have given probably WWE would have gained more fans by doing that than lost.
Yeah.
Right?
And grace. Maybe a little bit of grace to the incident.
I don't think that's Vince's strong suit, so it's unfortunate.
No, but the rigging system, seeing that, the fact that Oj, I don't know if Athena did. I think it sounded like just Oj and Martha went up with the cops and everything to see. He literally saw what his dad had to see.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about final words that Shad said. Go ahead. Do you remember what Owen's last words were?
Look out.
Look out. He was trying to save someone in case he hurt them when he fell because he knew he was done. You can't fall from that height and live.
No.
Unprotected. There's nothing like a net below or something. Like, that's boards. I don't care how thick the mat is below it.
Yeah.
Or that's above it. He was landing on wood. I never heard the Jimmy Corderas version of it.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah.
He's kicking things out of the ring, getting ready, and he felt the rope. He felt the breeze of Owen just go right by him.
Yep.
That I never heard that to this day, and that one got me. I was like, wow, that's... Imagine being him. He's the very first person to his body.
Yep.
And the biggest one that made me say Vince is a piece of shit. You are in a conference, a live conference interview with multiple reporters, and they're asking you a lot of questions. And a lady asks Vince something about, do you feel negligence was involved? And because he was called out because there was fucking negligence, let's be honest here.
Yeah.
He said, first of all, I resent your tone. When I saw that, I go, you're a prick. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as that lady didn't even hesitate, she goes, I resent your sarcasm. I was like, oh, good for you. I wish I could have seen that lady's face. I want to know who she is. Good for you, man. Because at this point, it's a life on the line. Who cares if I have a tone? Dude's dead. I have a tone. Everybody in this room is going to have a tone. You are what we're looking at. Don't act like you're not under investigation here. And something actually, we say we don't text, but you brought up actually to me was, and I want you to talk about this, was it's crazy to know Owen's demeanor that day. Give us that take on that from the dark side of the ring.
Yeah, it was just weird. There's a spot where he went to the airport and he had Oach there with him, and told him make sure you take care of your mother while I'm gone. It seems innocent enough, but Oach said he never really heard that from his dad before, so that kind of stuck out. And just a lot of.
And he also didn't ride with him to the airport much.
Yeah, no, he didn't. Yeah, because he said something like
weird.
He would drive him up there, and then somebody else would take the car and drive him back, his kid back. So. But a lot of people saying he was uneasy this day, and I might have missed this, but the time frame is kind of fuzzy to me. But it's just, did he know at that point? How much did he know about the rig? You brought up a good point that they had called Martha to get his measurements, and she was curious because he had just done this not too recently.
It was a couple months before that, because that's what's funny in the Dark Side of the Ring show. You see Owen descend from the ring, or from the arena and lowering down. I go, oh my God, are they showing the real footage?
Yeah, right.
But it was something that happened prior to that, and they were reusing it again. I was like, and something I even back then I go, they killed him because they were trying to do the Sting thing. Because WCW was lowering Sting for years at this point, at least a couple, and they were like, oh, we could do that. And man, you didn't need to go that road for Blue Blazer, man. And his comedic role was great.
Sure.
You're right. how much did he know? Well, because they had the best of the best team when he did it the first time.
Yes.
They had a company that was true trained professionals.
Movie studio level.
Yes. And on this specific date, WWE, instead of saving a life, they chose to save money. And it cost them a life, obviously. And it sucks that they'll never admit it. They will never admit we killed Owen. One part, actually, I had to... once YouTube showed me this, I went down a giant rabbit hole of Owen stories, ribs, and stuff like that. If you guys want to see something really interesting, did you know who he's cousins with?
Owen?
He is cousins with Roddy Piper.
No shit.
Yep. I want everybody after this show to go on YouTube, Piper, TNA, Vince Russo. I don't know the exact name, but in ring, Piper calls Vince Russo out and says, "You wrote a lot of bad things in wrestling and you ruined wrestling. Let me ask you, did you write it in to kill my cousin Owen?" And Vince was a part of that. Vince Russo was a little bit a part of that whole descending thing.
No shit.
Fucked up. And Piper gets right in his face. And I was like, cousin? And I started doing some researching. Huh, he really is the cousin of him. I never knew that. So when you watched WrestleMania 8, Piper versus Brett, that's two cousins going at it in the ring.
Oh,
never knew that. I thought that was kind of cool. Actually, wait, I think they kind of call it out in their pre-interview matches. I think about it now. Huh. Anyway, it sucks that Owen didn't get to obviously, live. I mean, it's weird how I just said that, but I'm saying because think about what was coming up. Jericho was there like 2 months later, 2 or 3 months later. Less than a year later, you have Benoit, you have Malenko, you have Saturn, Guerrero, Edge, Christian, the Hardys, Kurt Angle. Jesus, all the matches that Owen could have had, he would have been on all of their level, and being that he was the seasoned vet, very easily could have been the world champion, as well as all those guys could have been.
Yeah, that's where I was actually going to go. Is did you think he would have become world champion if he
stayed, if he was alive? Yeah, I got to be honest. I've been that person that always said he should have won the world title at SummerSlam '94 in the cage match, even if it was by cheating with Anvil or whatever the case was. And then he should have faced Brett at Survivor Series, and he gave Brett the title back. But instead, we got Bob Backlund. Whatever.
Yeah.
Owen, I wanted him, and maybe he just wasn't ready to be the world champ at the time. Maybe he said, "I don't want the title." We don't know. Yeah. He was a family man before he was a wrestler. It just sucks that he had to go out the way he did because, and like I said, man, you went to work. You're supposed to come home from work. None of us expect that just going to work.
Right.
It's a good chance I'm going to die today doing what I've been training for my whole life. You have a heart attack in the ring, okay, WWE's not negligent, you know what I mean? Unless, like, you saw him all day. TNA was negligent. When you saw Jeff Hardy all day and you let him go out to the ring that night, that's negligence. And they admitted negligence. WWE will not. The fact that, again, man, I resent your tone. Is that your answer? Like, that's your final answer? That's what you're going to bring up?
Yeah, seriously.
You dickhead. It sucks, but best episode of the season. Very, very, man, I could have watched 3 or 4 hours of it. You know what I mean? Like, it was very, very good, but not long enough, man. Like, they breezed through so much of his career, and I was like, oh, I could have watched so much more of it. But that's what the show is.
Sure.
Good for Martha. I mean that. She literally fought the machine. And she not only fought the machine, she fought wrestling's greatest family, I think, of all time, the Harts, because she was being told by them, hey, don't rock the boat against the biggest machine, because that's their money ticket. You know what I mean? Like, that's how all of them were getting there. And you still have a young Natty, a young Tyson Kidd, and all those people that could still do something at this point. And one in particular was Bret Hart. And he's admitted throughout the years that he's pushed Martha because he wanted his library. He wanted his tapes of everything that he accomplished in the ring, because when he went to WCW and the Montreal Screwjob and all that stuff, they were holding his shit captive. Even some of his early Stampede days, because WWE owned the rights. Which is one of the reasons Bret came back and did his autobiography and shook hands after his stroke and all that stuff. But he was pushing Martha to not do this lawsuit because it could hurt the overall relationship with the Harts in WWE. She said, my husband's gone. My best friend. They've been together forever, man. I mean, like, they were middle school sweethearts, I think that it started. They said something like 14 or 15 is when they met.
Yeah, I thought it was 15, but yeah.
Okay, so we'll say even 8th grade to 9th grade, whatever.
Sure.
That's, Jesus, that's a long time to be together.
Yep.
One of the eeriest things, man, is just hearing that the home videos of him saying we're all going to be happy, we're happy, we're healthy, we're here. It was just, it sucked, man, like, because you wish he was still here today. And you kind of wonder, yeah, he would probably be retired by now, you know what I mean, with his age, but damn, how far could he have gone? I think, I mean, if he, do you remember what his age was when he died? Did they say it on the episode? I feel like...
I'm sure they said it on the episode, yeah, I don't remember.
I may not have caught it, but you got to think, man, 99, 2 years later, you have a debuting John Cena. You know what I mean? Like, we could have saw Owens Cena. I'm saying, like, that far down the road of all these guys that we watch still today, Owen could have been a big player in all of that.
Sure.
Sucks. Do we have anything else sad, man? I mean, Jesus Christ, I feel like I need to get the tissues out for the show already.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, just to bring a little bit of levity to the show, I'd like to confirm that 32 minutes in, we're still recording. So that's a good thing.
Oh, my God. Mine stopped recording.
One piece of some semi-somber news. Ember Moon, obviously, has not been around lately. She had an Achilles injury, and it looks like it could be career-ending. So not cool.
No, it's not, because she's too young, man, and she barely had any form of a run in any way. I mean, like, she had a good NXT run, but I feel like as soon as she got to the main roster, she's been hurt.
But even with the NXT run, she never beat Asuka. Asuka just got moved up to the main roster, and it was like, okay, here, you can have the title.
I'm okay with that. I don't think you have to win the title and then move up. I think it's okay to be, as long as you're predominantly shown that you could work, make your way up to the main roster. I don't think she had to beat Asuka to have a good run. She was a great competitor against Asuka, and it was compelling enough that you're like, well, on this third one, this has got to be the one. She's going to win the match. Fuck, Asuka won again? How is that possible? And it's so weird that that's how they pushed Asuka, and then as soon as she got up to the main roster, they're like, oh, you're going to lose, by the way.
You're going to lose at WrestleMania to Charlotte.
I hope that Ember gets the Paige treatment, or Tyson Kidd, because where you have the opportunity to be something different in the company and ride out your contract or something like that, because
sure,
I don't know if you've ever caught her talking on WWE Backstage when she's been on there, and I hate to use the words she can talk because it seems like it was disrespectful to Rob Van Dam when Michaels said it to him, but she's a great talker, like, she just very down to earth. It's not, she doesn't have scripts in front of her or anything like that. She can actually just have a conversation and go along with the flow. As opposed to when you see some of the people that get forced onto that show, they can't talk. So I could see her being a manager, especially with the look, the eyes. I'm like, you could do something cool with her. That's maybe non-wrestling. Maybe, the words could be career ending. Maybe it's a work on her end so that she could make a giant comeback out of nowhere and no one expected it. We were told John Cena was going to be gone for a year and a half, and he came back at 8 months and won the Royal Rumble or whatever.
Yeah,
so
right.
Who knows? When Cena gets injured, he comes back pretty quick because he wants to be back in that ring. He's stronger than ever. Maybe this will be a good thing for Ember. Maybe she could somehow turn it around. Hey, maybe you do the whole Kerry Von Erich. Just cut half your leg off, get a fake leg, and just... Right. All right, that's too much.
Yeah, that's a bit much. Okay, so you mentioned Tyson Kidd quite a few times in a convoluted segue, not as smooth as it was.
But you ain't got no legs, Lieutenant Dan. Sorry, I don't even know why it just came out.
This has been happening a lot lately where we just kind of go into things. We're going to start working movie quotes into everything too, just because, so a lot of my intros will likely be movie focused next season. We'll see though. Anyway.
Well, we can't do Samuel L. Jackson because it'd just be a lot of motherfuckers. All right.
Oh,
you just wanted to go down a whole rant. Like,
this is
I will strike down upon thee.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be fine with that.
But let's talk about Tyson Kidd.
Tyson Kidd, apparently a few Royal Rumbles back, he tried to have the finale that he wanted. Basically, what he was looking for was to not have his career end the way, kind of like Edge's speech when he came back about wanting to end his career on his terms. So he kind of wanted to have a Rumble appearance just so he could have that and call it a day. But yeah, they basically looked at him and said, no, there's no way in hell. Your neck is basically made out of metal, so you take a bump, you're basically going to snap your spine. So no.
And he was having the best run of his career ever at that exact time. They put him on not 205 Live. I don't think that wasn't going at that time, but they were putting him in like they did send him down to NXT for a little bit, and he was in one of the world or NXT title matches. That's when he was coming out wearing the Beats by Dre type headphones and whatnot. But then the biggest part of his career was he tagged with Cesaro, and that team was the shit.
Right.
They had great matches against New Day, Usos, and it just stopped quick. And to an injury technically caused by Samoa Joe.
Yep.
From a muscle buster. But to this date, Tyson Kidd said it's nothing he did. It's nothing that Samoa Joe did. I just landed and everything just happened there. Joe did the move as he's supposed to.
I was going to say, how many times has Joe hurt somebody with a muscle buster? I mean, because he's been doing that move forever.
Ever since I've been seeing him in Ring of Honor, you know, and that's his go-to move. I've never seen him hurt anybody with that before either.
It's a freak accident, man.
It is. It's kind of like the Paige accident, like with how her neck, the last one.
Right.
Shit happens, man. It's just, that's a part of the... See, that's all right. And shit shouldn't have happened. This is okay. If you want to get hurt in the ring because that's something you've trained for, that's fine. He wasn't trained to fly like a movie role type Batman type shit. That's weird.
Right.
I'm glad he didn't, though. Because he would have been overshadowed by probably, if he came in this year, Edge. If he came in the year before, they have all these big comebacks, right? But do you really want it at the Royal Rumble?
No, of course not. Not unless you're... Listen, no offense to Tyson Kidd, but unless you're on Edge's level, unless you're on John Cena's level, Triple H's level, you're not going to get...
Or unless you're on the level that they put you in and you win the thing.
Yeah, but...
if it was like that big of a comeback, I'm saying, fine. But if you're looking for a one-off, don't do it at a Royal Rumble.
Yeah. An appearance.
But then again, you don't want to have a shitty one like Bret Hart. His final match was against The Miz as a U.S. champion on Raw. So, I don't know. I don't know. I think some people, if your neck is made of metal, I think you're done. Yeah. Unless you could go get the doctor kind of affirmations that Daniel Bryan and Edge got. I don't think Tyson Kidd is anywhere near.
No.
He can't wrestle with a broken freaking neck.
We all know this. All right.
Speaking of a broken freaking neck,
you actually skipped one, so you didn't do as good this time. But we'll go with that. Matt Riddle and Timothy Thatcher are squaring off on NXT this week in a cage fight. And cage fight is not just like a steel cage. It's actually going to be like an MMA style fight. So that's just an awesome matchup. They already had a great match. It's going to be great to see what they do in this environment. But the interesting piece is that a Black Wednesday casualty is going to be the special guest referee. And that is Kurt Angle, which is a perfect choice for this match.
It is.
Kurt Angle could be in the match with them. So I can't wait to see this.
Why? Why Kurt Angle?
I don't get it either, man. I don't get it.
Besides the fact that it is the MMA style. It's a perfect guy for him, but you just fired him.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, man, we fired you. You want $5,000 to come ref a match? You know what I mean? Like, it's weird. You didn't ask Rusev. You're going to ask Heath Slater, but you're going to ask Kurt Angle.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we see that. I'm going to steal the one that I skipped, so I'll just say it. Ric Flair resigns with WWE.
Yeah, we can gloss over
What
that one.
the fuck?
Yeah, right.
So
he's getting a paycheck.
Fired guys, but let's get a guy that has died like twice over the last couple of years. Nothing against him. I'm just saying, what is he needed for?
No.
He comes out once a year and says woo. Believe me, I'm a Ric Flair fan.
Yeah.
But I stopped being a Ric Flair fan when he went to TNA and decided to come out of retirement. Hey, man, I shed enough tears after WrestleMania 24. Don't do that to me, man. Don't come back. Yep. You're not Brett Favre. Or Kiss and Rolling Stones. But, I don't know, man. I'm all right with Angle coming back, but the Flair thing is weird to me. But you let all these guys go, but you're going to pay someone like Angle. You're going to pay Ric Flair when you just took the livelihoods of Kurt Hawkins, Zack Ryder, Rusev. Jesus, the list goes on. You know what I mean? Like, some of your mainstays that have been there for a very long time. Some of your very loyal guys. The only thing I can say, WWE is deciding to make him a heel manager for Timothy Thatcher. That's my guess. That's my only prediction out of it, because why else are you bringing him back? Yeah. Fans aren't stupid. We know that he's been fired. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. Maybe they're bringing him back as a nerd. Maybe they go, oh, shit, we do have some reserves. Yeah, we do need you back as a backstage talent.
That's not. Hey, I'm not against that. That would be really interesting to see Kurt Angle managing Thatcher. But I kind of want to see Thatcher speak for himself, just because I'm not as familiar with him. So I'd kind of like to get to know him a little bit. But then again, like I said, heel Angle, love it. So we're going to talk.
Or what if Angle's trying to ref the match? Riddle pushes him away, and he's trying to break him up again. Thatcher pushes him away. They just all start fighting or something like that.
That would be cool, too.
Major MMA fighters, you know what I mean? Or grapplers. I think that'd be kind of cool. But
what about a triangle submission?
And that's if I was booking.
Where they each have a submission on each other.
And it all ends with Angle standing up with the ankle lock on the last guy. That'd be awesome.
Hilarious. All right, anyway.
It's not going to happen. This is me if I was booking.
Yeah, exactly. Fantasy booking. Yeah, so AEW is they will be doing Fyter Fest again. That was one of their smaller pay-per-views. I would call that a second tier pay-per-view in the WWE structure of things.
They didn't promote it last year at all. I mean, they did a little bit, but not to the extent of like a Double or Nothing.
They had that. That was the one where they did have. It was the Hangman Page Jericho feud. There was a good.
It was starting there, and then it was also Cody and Darby Allin going to a draw.
Okay,
that's where they went to a draw.
I thought that was on Dynamite.
No, they did go. That was they fought all the way back at Fyter Fest. That was my very first time ever seeing, because I was like, it was either at Fyter Fest or Fight for the Fallen that they fought, and it was him and Darby.
Gotcha. Okay. So and there is a match that's been announced for that event, but we will get to that later as well.
Yeah, I'm not happy with it.
Yeah, we'll discuss.
We'll move on. I don't want to go too deep.
So, speaking of, obviously, one of the things that we're referencing is Double or Nothing. Just a quick couple notes from that. You'll notice that there were two people that were replaced on the show, Britt Baker and Rey Fenix. Rey Fenix took that nasty back bump. We'll be talking about that in Wednesday Night Wars. Initial reports for Britt Baker were that it was a torn ACL and it could be 6 to 9 months. After Double or Nothing, and they did something on Double or Nothing on the pre-show, talking with the AEW doctor and saying she had it was basically like a fractured leg and a ACL tear, and that it would be.
But it's funny, instead of ACL, he actually said what he's like Achilles.
Anterior.
And he went through the whole thing, and I was like, just say ACL, man.
Yeah,
I'm like, your fans aren't that smart.
Exactly. So, he echoed the same thing, 6 to 9 months. But after the event, Tony Khan said it was going to be 6 to 8 weeks. So, we'll see.
Misdiagnosed, and it's not a full-blown torn ACL? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess not. I have no idea, but hopefully it is a short amount of time. Let her get healthy because she's on a tear right now. She's doing great. I think she's the best the division has to offer at this point. So
I have said I think she should have been the one holding this title right now.
I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet, and we'll get into that as well.
She's pushed more than any other woman on this show.
I
And
know.
she doesn't have a title. It's weird.
So there is one thing that I added here last second. It's reported, now again, we record on Monday, we release on Wednesday, so this is going to be old news by then, but I figured I'd bring it up real quick. It sounds like that fans will be returning to Raw live tonight. I don't know what scale, but that is the scuttlebutt, so we'll see if that happens.
Well, if we're going to talk about that, let's say this. All right. AEW produced an awesome pay-per-view compared to Money in the Bank.
Yep.
I'm just
or
that's the most
WrestleMania.
recent one, right? Well, even WrestleMania, but I'm just going to say, I'll say recent to recent is what I'm saying.
Okay, sure.
And it's kind of like when we did our Tale of Two pay-per-views with Hell in a Cell and not All Out, but the other one.
Hopefully we get a
Revolution.
chance to do it again. That was a good one. Oh, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So this one was really good because it's not silent. I love wrestlers as the fans.
It's great.
A little too much talking for me. I got to be honest with you. That was bothersome for me. I didn't like how much some of them were talking on the outside.
Right.
But then some of the stuff was kind of funny, too, with some of the things they were yelling out to them. And we'll get to all that. But I think they are doing a much better job at their producing of a show compared to WWE just having matches with just quietness.
Yeah, I
It's
know,
just not
right?
for me. It's
No.
so weird to watch. I like this. I thought they did a good job with the show. I got to be honest, it's really fun when it says Don trending. I'm like, Don, it's trending. Who the fuck is Don? Oh, Double or Nothing. God damn it. And I go, oh my God, that got me last year too. I remember that. I remember going, who's Don? Like Don Callis? Well, I mean, if we're going to get talking about that, if we're going to talk about Double or Nothing, we at least got to prep it with
Wednesday Night Wars!
All right, so Wednesday Night Wars. Again, man, same thing. I'm having trouble really paying attention to NXT or really any WWE show. It's just too... I can't get on board with the quiet shows. But let me ask you this question, actually. It's going to partially be pay-per-view related. Who was the people that were in the crowd that were not wrestlers? There was like one section when Moxley and Harper, or Moxley and Brody Lee were fighting. I go, well, who are all these people? I'm like, are they their families? And they were in one section. I don't know. Either way, I was just like, could you sell like maybe 100 tickets and just space everybody out? Here, this is your section. This is your section.
I said. That's what I said. They'll be spotted all over, but there's still people there, right?
It's but it's funny because you hear some reactions to the matches,
hell yeah,
booing and cheering, and it's cool because the wrestlers who are playing fans,
they know when they're
also
supposed to cheer.
They're also playing kayfabe the right way. Brody Lee was booed to shit in the match. Mm-hmm. If a real crowd was there, they're like, oh my God, Harper's getting his shot, and everybody's going to cheer the shit out of him. Kind of brought kayfabe wrestling to it for a little bit because it was really cool to hear cheers and boos in your world title match. But we're going to talk about that too. However, NXT, go ahead, run down it, because I'll tell you, the biggest thing for me was the opener. Go ahead.
All right. So AEW wins again, 701,000 to 592,000. And I'll go through NXT first. Karrion Kross had another excellent entrance with Scarlett and another squash. And Ciampa comes out and challenges Kross. That is a match I am very excited to see.
And that's going to happen in your house.
Yep.
Oh, man, you want to talk about a barn burner match? Now this is the first time I've been actually okay that Ciampa is not going for the title.
Yep.
Like, I want him to be the title holder again, but I'm like, all right, let Adam Cole keep racking this up. If Ciampa's going to fight this guy, hell yeah, I'll take this all day.
Yeah.
I just don't want to see any more. I don't want to see Gargano, I guess, heavily pushed as much. I think Ciampa should be pushed more.
Yeah, we'll get into Gargano. Yeah, anyway. So El Hijo del Fantasma defeated Tozawa, won Group B in the Cruiserweight title tournament. Mia Yim defeated somebody. Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano came out. Gargano and LeRae are doing their whole "we're better than you, we're role models." It's kind of a shtick that's been used before. Gargano as a heel is weird. LeRae, I buy it. So, I don't know. We'll see where it goes.
Wow, that's weird. I 100% agree with you, man. Like, I buy her being the heel, but him, it's like...
I'm not saying he can't do it.
Maybe it's because everybody has labeled him as the true last... What do they call it? The white hot baby face or something like that. Because he was that
squeaky
guy.
Clean.
Squeaky clean. You needed him as that. And I don't know. It's weird that they try to force him heel. The only time it really worked is when he was revenging... being jumped by Ciampa. You want to go heelish that and be doing dirty tactics, fine. But yeah, you can't.
He had that one good interview with Ronaldo where he was freaking out on him. That was good.
Yeah,
that was good. But that's what you need to do.
Ronaldo was going to actually like freak out and have like a panic attack during that one.
But that's how you have to do it. But this, I don't know. We'll see where it goes.
The role model thing is stupid. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But
Roderick,
I do got to say, we've kind of teased this. Next season, we are going to have a couple of new bits. And one of them is called Nightwing Analyst Good Shit.
Yeah.
He's going to give us one good shit of the week. And he said he actually likes these Gargano LeRae things. So what he finds to be good shit, we may argue, brother.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not going to give up on it, but at this time, and it's hard to... Listen, you're not going to be surprised by me saying this. I think one of the constants during this whole COVID thing is that I was already leaning towards AEW on a week-to-week basis. This is like solidifying that hardcore because I love NXT and I see shit. I'll be like, oh, that's coming up next. That's awesome. I can't wait. And then I'm playing on my phone 5 minutes later because it's like, it's not the fault of the guys in the ring, man. It's just, you've got it. WWE. Listen, it's okay. You can copy AEW. That's fine. You're going to get a pass on this one. They figured it out first. They did it better. Just do that because then... NXT like that, I'm in. Can you imagine Velveteen Dream, Undisputed Era, Dexter Lumis, all those people down at Damian Priest, Finn Balor?
And that's the thing is that with that, as they're cheering on their other wrestlers, think about what MJF and Shawn Spears are doing. They were putting I know they were the betting thing and everything, but it was putting in motion ideas. Wait, are they going to work together? You could also have fights in the crowd, like after it's all over or something like that. Velveteen Dream just randomly jumps Finn Balor or something like that. Like it can lead to something, but they're not doing it right, man. They really could. And AEW has the right mind frame, I think, so far.
Definitely. Roddy Strong beat Dexter Lumis. Wow.
Stiff match.
Yeah. I like Dexter Lumis. I'm all on.
Don't think Lumis should have lost, though.
No, me neither. So
not to Roddy.
No.
I'd rather him lose to... And I nothing against Roddy. I just think that he could have lost to a Baylor or an Adam Cole. The way that he's been pushed lately, shouldn't have lost yet.
No, I agree with you. Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch defeated Everrise. I have a funny feeling Brit Am Brawlers are going to be chasing the gold.
I think so.
I think
I'm okay with that because...
Yeah, me too. They're great.
I actually really like them, man. They had some good matches against Undisputed Era, too. I mean, they're a good team.
Yeah, they're not flashy, but they can go. They're great in
brawlers.
So yeah, exactly.
It's like Revival. We're not here to flash, man. No fists, all fists, no flips. That's what I like about these guys, and that's what I like about a lot of like NXT UK wrestlers.
Yes,
they're there to beat the shit out of you, not to do high flying moves that make you go wow. They're like, no, I want to beat the shit out of you.
Right. So the Drake Maverick drama continues.
The Drake Maverick work continues.
I told you, man.
It's a work.
He's dead to me.
You
if
called
this is
it.
all the work. Yeah. So he beat Kushida. Now it's going to force a triple threat match to decide the Group A, participant for the Cruiserweight tournament. Yeah. So I don't know, man.
Wait, I have to say something about this. So he pulled at the heartstrings of the fans, right, to do that whole thing.
Sure.
And he even said, I want to thank WWE for allowing me to have my last couple of matches here before I leave. However, if this was a work and he does end up winning, it was for nothing. Because if you're pulling at the heartstrings of the fans, wouldn't you want the fans there for a mega pop?
Sure.
It's a work, and it's stupid. You did it at the wrong time. And as a matter of fact, you also didn't just do it because during the pandemic. You are working on playing off of all those people you fired. I don't like it.
If
you know what
true,
I mean? So you fake fired one guy
yeah,
and fired the rest?
Well, here's the other thing, too. Here's more of my approach to it. Yes, that is despicable. What I think may have happened, like what I'm concerned about, I guess, is they totally were going to fire him, and that response was legitimate. Like, his video was legitimate. But then they saw the feedback, and WWE's like, all right, listen, we got to hire him back, and we can actually make this a work as well. So they do that. And
probably, kind of like the Daniel Bryan coming back from Nexus thing. They fired him and bring him back, yeah.
Right. So if they did that, let's say they legitimately did that, more than likely we're going to know, right? It's going to be all over the place. So let's say that they hit it and they used it to their advantage. That's what's going to piss me off. It's like, you really did fire him, but then you saw, the community, the outpouring of support, and you're like, we can take advantage of this. And if Drake Maverick was part of it, it makes him complicit, in which case, fuck Drake Maverick. But that's if I'm willing to wait and see where it goes.
What I'm okay with. I'll be okay with this. If he wins this thing completely, fuck you. Fuck your work. Like how you did the whole thing, because if you did it that way. If he loses the tournament and they come out and like Triple H comes out and goes, I know it was your last match, but we saw online the outpouring and blah, blah, blah. We'd like to keep you here in 205 or something like that. It's a minor, I guess, saving of it, but I'd rather them at least call out that video.
Yeah.
And say that's why we're rehiring you. Instead of just being like, just sweeping it under the rug like you're saying, not mentioning it, and then you just keep them there. What the fuck? It was stupid.
So,
but yeah, let's go on with the rest of NXT.
Damian Priest went into an explanation about why he attacked Balor. It was pretty self-explanatory, not bad.
Good build. I'm okay.
Yeah. I'm not a big Damian Priest fan, but I'm fine with this. I think it's good. And then we had a match between Rhea Ripley and Io Shirai, and of course Charlotte Flair came out, interfered, and it looks like next week we're going to have a tag team match. Charlotte Flair's going to have a mystery tag team partner. And then I believe that in your house it's going to be a triple threat for the title, which should be a fantastic match. I mean, Flair
I think
and,
her partner is going to be the one that she fought on SmackDown. I think she's going to have Bayley come into NXT with her for the night.
Really?
That's my call.
Huh, I like
Bring
it.
in another champ. But Bayley did win. That I was happy for.
And you know
what? I
what?
really thought that Charlotte was going to go over on that. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Bring her in to beat her. And I go, yes, Bayley.
But here's the thing. I wonder, because that will play off perfectly, because Charlotte's already sowing seeds of dissent. And if she picks Bayley instead of Sasha, I like it.
That was exactly where I'm going.
I like it. All right.
Extend some things.
Hey,
you know what? If that's the case, since we're really only, I mean, I can't remember last time I really watched an actual SmackDown. I mean, for real. I say just bring Bayley and Sasha back to NXT. Have them all join in with Rhea Ripley and the rest of the crew there. I love watching women's wrestling 100% right there.
Oh, no shit.
Put them all in one area. Don't separate them, man.
Yeah. It
sounds stupid. I understand you want to have, like, it's kind of like you have your 205 Live. You separated the size guys.
Yep.
And I'm not saying, like, oh, the women better than men. I'm saying you can still have them on the pay-per-view, but I think you should have an all-women's wrestling show each week as you do NXT.
Yeah.
All the women from all the rosters are just there in one place, man. And that's how it should be. Because I'll bet you that gets a lot more viewership than your 205 Live, probably more than you get on your NXT. Fuck, I bet you if you got rid of NXT and moved it to a different night and put an all-women's show against AEW, we'd have better numbers.
I don't disagree with that. Yeah, that makes sense. Look
at
you with the
show in
hot
the
takes.
hands of Vince.
Professor Hot Takes.
You say hot takes or hot cakes?
Hot cakes would be very delicious right now, but no, I said hot takes.
I am delicious.
Yeah.
Let's talk AEW, because then that really gets us to talk about this past weekend's pay-per-view.
Yeah, we got to talk about Don later, so don't forget about that. AEW opens up with Jon Moxley taking on 10 of the Dork Order.
I'm getting over this Dark Order number shit.
I know.
All right.
I'm with you. Jon Moxley basically beat the shit out of him, and Brody Lee scampered
broke
off
his
with
arm.
the title, and then broke his arm. So there was that.
Yeah, Brody ran with the title.
Yeah,
that was cool. I haven't seen that in a while.
So next up, MJF destroyed Marco Stunt. I still don't like Marco Stunt. Should only be there as a jobber, like a midget. You know what I mean? Seriously,
I don't like that he was even in that fucking ladder match.
Yeah, well, that's a whole different story.
It's like someone's kid is backstage. And we're like, we'll give you a part today, buddy.
I know, right? He's like 23.
And I understand that they're like, it's almost like they're trying to play the Hornswoggle role, the mini ladder, all that stuff. It just doesn't work. When he dove out the rope and took down 4 guys at once, you mean to tell me you guys couldn't catch 70 pounds?
Sure.
But you pick up wrestlers? I just don't buy it. I don't like Marco Stunt at all. If he was not involved at all, I'd probably be way more into Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy as a team and all that whole stable.
Sure.
Marco Stunt just throws it all off.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, same with Best Friends and Orange Cassidy. I'm not a fan of these setups. It's weird.
Yeah, no, that's true. The Best Friends one is... anyway. Yeah, so afterwards it was great because he said, hey, you can have... you fought such a good fight. I'll throw you one of my discarded rats from Florida. And he says, oh, wait, actually, no, none of them would want to kiss you, so I'll give you a kiss. And he puts the ring on and clocks him. Good shit. Love MJF, obviously. I love Wardlow. I think Wardlow is badass. I don't like his finisher, but that's okay. We can get past that.
I can't wait to talk about MJF when we hit the pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah. So next we had a segment where Jake the Snake and Arn Anderson had a little face-off.
Felt like it was in 1988, and not in a bad way. It was just so cool to see both of them just talking on my TV again.
They both still can deliver a goddamn promo.
Compelling.
It was fantastic. That's all I got to say about that.
Because we'll get into the TNT title
Yes.
match, too, in that, yeah.
Pac had a video promo. Very good, very good. Basically telling...
Which is good. I've been wondering where the hell he's been.
Yeah, I know, right? We'll get him back soon, I hope. So here we go. This is the big one. Ray Phoenix and Orange Cassidy. It was... there's an episode of The Simpsons where Homer sees an ad for a free trampoline. So he goes and gets it. He brings it over. He's like, I could open up an amusement park in my backyard because I got a trampoline. So he's charging neighborhood kids like $1. And he looks over and his backyard's like Vietnam. There's just bodies everywhere from everybody getting hurt from the trampoline. That was this match. This was actually kind of this episode of AEW Dynamite.
Yeah.
There was
a lot of bad things.
There was a shit show of like 4 suicide dives, planchas, topes at the end, and everyone missed. Ray Phoenix was the first one. He landed flat on his back on the mat outside. Dude, from that height that he jumped, that can't feel good. And at the very least had to knock the wind out of him.
Dude, if I just fell backwards right now, it wouldn't hurt. I'm saying it wouldn't feel good. How the fuck you do it from that height at all and be fine is beyond me. And so as soon as they were doing and not to give too much away, but in the Revolution pre-match for the ladder match, I go, what? Ray Phoenix is out? Fuck, now I'm out of this match. I don't care. I'm like, I really wanted to see him in that match. I thought it was going to be amazing with him and ladders, but you took yourself out of the match with that move?
And it was completely unnecessary. Orange Cassidy.
I guess Orange Cassidy, of all fucking people.
Yep, he overshot, and he actually slammed his leg on the guardrail, it looked like, and clocked, was it Scorpio Sky in the face, I think? It was just bad dives all around. It just was not... It's not the match we should have seen. So, and the next one didn't get any better. Nyla Rose and Britt Baker beat Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander. And this is the match. I think Nyla Rose suplexed Britt Baker into the corner, and that's when she injured her knee. So it was just, again, it was, you don't have to do the crazy shit all the time. You can do good shit.
Simple is more sometimes.
Yes, and we're going to talk
just
about
go
that.
towards what you're building towards.
I think
Nyla Rose versus Shida.
I think you and I are on the same track as far as less is more. especially when it comes to the pay-per-view. Sean Spears did a little fake news report, the Sean Spears Network, saying that
I kind of liked it.
yeah, Dustin Rhodes had retired. Well, and we're going to talk about that. I kind of want to bookmark Sean Spears because I agree with you.
We're going to come back to it in the pay-per-view.
Yep. So I liked this. I like this as well. I thought it was good. I like him saying I'm going to go into business for myself. That's what you want. It's a smart, cunning heel. Loved it.
Well, I was going to say, it's when you say go in business for yourself, that's a backstage term. When someone, they're like, well,
You're gonna
that
go off
night he
script
decided to go into business for himself and did this instead, right? And like, he ended up pinning him when he shouldn't have, or whatever. And he's using terms that you don't bring out loud, and I love that he did. That's kind of cool.
Yep. So the main event was Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara, this kid's going to be a star, and I see why Jericho picked him. Matt Hardy went to give him a twist of fate.
He could be an actor.
he went to give him a twist of fate, and Sammy planked. Like, he just stopped himself, and he popped back up, and then super kicked him in the face. It was fantastic. Loved it.
Yep.
It was a solid match, man. And, Matt Hardy comes out on top, and then Omega's getting jumped in the stadium, so they're kind of previewing that. So all the action spills out there. And then one of the greatest things I've ever seen, all I could think of was Monty Python and the Holy Grail. All of a sudden, you know what scene I'm talking about?
Yes. Oh, man.
All of a sudden in the distance.
I didn't even put that together till right now. Holy shit.
It's just the loop of him running out of the forest.
Yep.
All you see is this little dot in the background. You're like, what the fuck is that? And it's a football field, so it's 100 yards. If you slow it down, he actually came out at around the 50, and then he scooted down to the other end zone. And then he came up the field. 100 and that would be what, 110 yards, 160 if you want to say he came in from the 50.
Yeah.
So, and he just comes barreling down and hits a couple lariats. It was
full-blown sprints.
It was glorious. It was glorious.
The longest clothesline in history.
Yeah. So, Hangman Adam Page, ODM, salute you.
Okay, I gotta say this. I may not get it out until then. I think, for real, the Elite and Inner Circle's main big picture goal is getting Hangman Page over as a world champion eventually. If you haven't watched, everything is based around him, right? We're building his character. We're building inner feuds with them, but then he comes and saves the day and beats the fuck out of everybody. Comes in on a horse or running in, right? I mean, the dude, I feel like they're trying to do everything they can to make him a star. Yeah, Jericho's doing the same with Sammy Guevara. I think they're taking the younger talent. And they're like, how we can push this. Bucks don't need to be pushed. Kenny Omega is kind of playing a B-role in every way possible.
Yeah.
But I'm not against it because Page is the one that he's behind. He's not like, it's not like he's sitting behind the Young Bucks and everybody else. He's pushing his tag team partner, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
We all thought he was not ready to take the world title from Jericho when he fought Jericho and they were deciding the original winner. 1 year from now, he deserves it. You keep building him this way, crowd's going to go apeshit when he does win that title. It's inevitable. He's going to be a world champion in AEW. But they're doing it just right. I love how they're building the Hangman Page character.
When he wins the title, whatever episode that we record that follows that, the intro will be just the pop.
Oh, yeah.
It'll just be the pop.
And then you and I just drinking whiskey.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's talk Don. What did Don do this week?
Don had some...
He hangs with Bob Roode.
Don Roode. Don Roode had some interesting...
That was good. I like that.
We're going off the rails.
I just complimented myself, by the way. Good job, Mark.
All right. You are a Mark.
Yep.
Oh, my God. All right. Well, let's talk about Double or Nothing, because if I say the other thing, we're just going to get sidetracked. The buy-in, who gives a shit? Best Friends defeated Private Party. A little bit sloppy. Yeah, absolutely. I don't like Best Friends. I don't really see why they're pushing them, but whatever. That's fine. So, obviously, Britt Baker's out. They replaced her with Penelope Ford, Chris Statlander. It was a decent match. Not much to report there. I don't know if Statlander would have went over if it was Britt. I would think Britt would have won, But since Britt wasn't in the picture, I guess they gave the rub to Statlander. Makes sense. They want to push her. She still seems a little green to me. And I'm tired of the stupid cartwheel things and the nose booping and all that. So
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
drop the alien gimmick. Just be a good worker. The gimmick will follow. So next is the match that we said was going to steal the show. And in my opinion, it did steal the show. It was MJF and Jungle Boy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to go with the ladder match.
I'm going, yeah, I didn't do it chronological. I kind of just
Apparently not. I'm like, that didn't open the show. Yeah. Okay, yes, but we'll bounce around. Let's talk about MJF defeating Jungle Boy. It did steal the show.
It was fantastic.
Had some of the best near falls the entire pay-per-view had. It was, man, I actually sat there and I thought about it. I was like, this to me right now is when I was watching things like Ring of Honor in 2004, and like the second match would be someone like Roderick Strong versus Austin Aries, right? And you're like, these guys are going to be huge in just a couple years, right? And you know that's what's happening. That's what this was all about.
This is the future.
Showcasing thank you. Yes, you're showcasing your future. Two future huge stars. I'm not saying Jungle Boy is going to be like the greatest world champion of all time. However,
he could be world champion.
How he works, how he is. Take the name Jungle Boy away from him. Let him be just Jack Perry or whatever it is. And MJF is just a natural, awesome heel. Yeah, we're watching two future stars in the making. Because more than anything, you have to get rid of the name Jungle Boy, because JR doesn't know his fucking name. Jungle Boy Perry, Jungle Perry.
Yeah, I know,
Jungle
right?
Boy Jack.
Yeah.
He's horrible at that.
So,
but no, it stole the show. It was awesome, and how it ended.
It was interesting.
Pin.
It was interesting.
Yeah, it was all countering, and it was great match.
This
like
match,
you said, it definitely stole the show.
Yeah, this match had a. Okay, I am not this smart of a mark, so what I'm about to say, feel free to come at me about it. The work rate seemed very New Japan. The way the match started, it was like... The way this match started reminded me of the beginning of the match of Tanahashi and Ospreay. Right?
Okay. Yes.
It reminds... The beginning reminds me. The counters, But the ring psychology was old school NWA.
Yeah.
It was
selling, man. Selling was a big point of this match.
So
they actually
great.
Yeah.
That reverse Rana on the apron, I was like, fuck, is MJF dead?
Yeah.
Selling was good.
It's honestly both of their best matches since joining AEW.
Agreed.
I haven't dove too deeply into MJF. I know I've seen him on MLW and stuff like that, but the best matches I've seen out of either guy so far is right here. And actually, I would have said that Jungle Boy's best match was against Jericho that night on AEW.
That was good.
But this one surpassed it.
Oh, this match was, again, I think this was the best match of the night. It lived
had
up to
real
every expectation
story.
and more.
Yeah, no, I actually, out of all the matches on this entire show, this is the only one I would actually probably go back and watch again. The other ones, I'm like, cool, watched them. Don't need to see them again.
Yeah, I think there's some exceptions, but we can get to that. So next on the list, again, I apologize, everybody. I could have put in the work for like 2 minutes and got.
Well, hang on, but hold this one. We're gonna hold that.
Okay.
I know which one you're talking about. Let's talk about the AEW women's no disqualification, no count out match. I think once we knew that it was a no DQ, no count out, I think we all knew Nyla Rose was dropping the title. At least I thought so. Actually, I don't even know if that's what I gave last week as a. I'm pretty sure that's what my prediction was. Hikaru Shida becomes the new AEW Women's Champion. It was all right.
I think it was a really solid match, and I like Shida. She's gotten better the last few matches I've seen. Again, like, listen, you don't need to gimmick somebody out, right? You don't need to. But
right, you don't need the alien. You don't need like with Shotzi Blackheart with all that stuff.
I've seen her talk. Like, she talked in a video package that they had. But let's get to know her more. Let's have a reason. You know what they're doing with Paige?
Yeah.
You don't have to do the same exact thing with her, but let's get us a reason. Not just have this person.
They're doing it with Britt Baker.
They're booked. Exactly. Britt Baker is just naturally over. It's hilarious. But it's not surprising. I kind of just wish Nyla Rose would have held it. Sheeta could have gave it a good effort, and then let's build her character a little bit, then we can revisit this. She did slap the shit out of Nyla Rose with that kendo stick in the face.
I was just going to say, you want to drop a title, that's the way to do it. Get your face beaten the hell off with one swing.
And what I did like that Sheeta did was, after that, she picked her up and hit her with the knee again. So it was like, I'm finishing this bitch off. So
as soon as she did that, I go, and this is the end.
Yep.
Like, you knew it right there. Yeah. But it's cool because I sometimes like to have that huge build up, not necessarily just out of nowhere. Right. That was a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, the match was, like I said, I was like, it was all right. I'm just saying that I think it was a giant spot fest for most of it because they were just doing a lot of big things all around the arena. There was a lot of tables,
the poker chips.
Right. It was just a bit too much for me.
Sure.
But that ending, awesome. I love that fucking swing.
Yeah.
Now, all right, I'm still, we'll talk about this one. The pay-per-view opener, which was the casino ladder match for a future AEW world title shot. It's funny they said future. I thought it was going to be like Money in the Bank and it would be held, not like you can cash it in, but at least like a couple months down the road, someone would do it. No, this winner is already chosen. He is going to fight at Fyter Fest against the world champion. We can't be the ones giving you your results here, but I was going to say, mocked. But anyway, the mystery man won it. Last week, you said Rusev, and dear God, I was praying for Rusev on that one, man. I was hoping it was going to be him coming out.
Technically, my prediction was the mystery man.
Okay.
But either way, I did say Rusev, which definitely was not.
But no one expected Brian Cage.
I did.
I never expected his name. Never. If you expected it, you didn't bring it up.
No, I didn't. Because he's like one of the few people that's not under a contract clause. Yeah, exactly. Everybody.
Well, also, they signed him when he was injured.
Yep.
That was another thing. So it kind of made people, kind of made people almost forget about him, I think. Yep. It made me forget about him. I go, oh, shit, I forgot he's a guy. He's a real thing.
So let's talk about the elephant in the room real quick, because I'm not super familiar with Brian Cage. I do know Brian Cage. Taz as his manager, I know we keep talking about bringing back all these old wrestlers as managers, but I'm kind of okay with it. Like, I like Taz. And when I saw Taz come out, I'm like, no shit. And then Brian Cage brings out a ladder, and I don't care if it's gimmicked or not. It was one of the coolest fucking things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it was held together by tape, but either way, it was cool.
He ripped this ladder apart, and like that's the visual you want. If you don't know who that guy is, I guarantee you want to know now.
Yeah. Well, so the Taz thing, it's funny because they're almost doing exactly what they did in TNA with Samoa Joe. That's what Taz was, his manager.
Right.
And taking over, right? And I loved, as soon as I saw Taz, I go, okay, so they're going to be pushing this guy now. I'm like, because you got Taz behind you, he's not just going to join on with like Jungle Boy. You know what I mean? Like, there's going to be a reason that it's a guy who's going to be a human wrecking machine like Taz was. And yeah, he rips the ladder apart. Like, as soon as I saw it, I go, like, I laughed. I was like, well, it was held together by nothing, but it was a cool effect.
Of course. It's still cool, though.
But then, when the entire roster or the entire match all buried him under shit, I go, and now we know how he's not going to win this match. Or like, at least there's a reason he didn't win this match.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, he just came in out of nowhere. I go, holy shit. But so when Kazarian came out in the beginning, I go, because Daniels is the one that did that promo, and he said, these guys are willing to do anything, include fight each other or whatever it was. And he's like, as long as SCU gets that win. As soon as Kazarian came out, I go, I think it'd be cool if Scorpio Sky came out and they just fought each other right now. I'm like, that'd be fun. And damn it, he did. I really wanted Scorpio to win this thing. I really was behind him, and Darby was my second. The amount of pain that Darby was taking during the match, I go, like, you know what they do? They beat the living piss out of the one who's going to win, right? You don't expect him to because he just went through 17 tables. I was like, he's got this. Yeah. He's got it. When he fell the one time when he did the skateboard jump and he landed.
I thought he was.
That looks like he really broke his leg.
Yes.
I was like, oh no. And then when he was carried on a ladder by Brian Cage and thrown out of the ring.
Yeah, he went flying into another ladder. That was a nasty.
And then the one that he was laying on still landed on top of him too.
Yep.
That was, the dude took a lot of pain. I was like, he's got to win this thing. And then as soon as I saw Brian Cage walk it, I go, yeah, it's over. I'm okay with it that he won. I'm just not necessarily a fan of it.
Right.
However, do you see him being a legit contender at Fyter Fest, or do you think that he's just going to get rolled over? Because how do you make him this if you're not ready to put the world title on him away?
That's a good point. It's hard, right? I mean, because listen, you can book a story or an angle based on a talent, specifically. With somebody like Brian Cage, it's the same thing as he would think anyway, like a Bobby Lashley or a Brock Lesnar, right? You see this fucking dude, you're going to do one of two things. You're going to go the Wardlow route where, yeah, this guy's a badass, but he's just kind of chilling and doing his own thing. And if he wants something, he'll go get it, right? He's reserved. Yes, there you go. What Brian Cage did yesterday, like you mentioned, them burying him and shit, and he came out and him just destroying everybody.
Maybe you watched it yesterday, but it was several days ago, man.
Right. So, God damn it. But yeah.
Pull back the curtain here, kids. Sorry.
When you do this, the goal is to put the title on him. You can't do that. If you brought him in differently, you wouldn't have to put him in a title shot and it wouldn't be an issue. If you're going to put this guy in a title, I think he's going to take it.
I think he's going to upset Mox.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. So obviously we'll just say Moxley retains over Brody Lee. That was a good match. I think I wished more of just a wrestling match.
Sure.
As a fuck you to WWE from Brody. He did some cool shit, man. He dove out the ropes, which WWE was trying to prevent him from doing at the end because you don't want to look like everybody can just do it. But it went more brawl than I expected. And why I'm saying I don't like Brian Cage going for it right now, you got life left in you and Brody. Brody didn't pin. He didn't tap out. He passed out.
Yeah, that was great.
So my point is, why is Brian Cage get the next championship match? Yes, okay, Brody lost, but I'm saying that the story's there. I wouldn't stop right now.
Well, you could just weave it all together if you want. Make it even more fun.
What, a triple threat?
Not necessarily a triple threat, but you could have all three overlap in some capacity, right? Because Brian Cage won that match. As part of winning that match, he wins a title shot. So he's getting his title shot. But you could still have Brody Lee and behind everybody saying, fuck you guys, I never lost. Right? So
they've already announced the title match. Or do you think it's because it's announced he comes out on Dynamite and says no, that
or maybe Brody Lee interferes at Fyter Fest and costs Cage the match. And then they're both chasing the title, but they're both feuding with each other trying to get to the, you know what I mean? Like I said,
it'd be cool if Brody Lee stayed off of television from now until Fyter Fest, almost making you forget just a little bit about him. And then he shows up and does that shit. That's the way to do it. Because I don't want to see him jump into another feud.
Sure.
In the next couple of weeks, waiting. Where
are you going?
The TNT 24/7 championship.
Okay, all right. Listen, I am typically not a positive or an optimistic man here, okay?
Yeah.
I'm not.
Are you about to be?
No, but I'm just going to play devil's advocate, and I'm going to try to shine a little light. They explicitly said the belt was not finished. The plating company was behind. They were doing a lot of stuff for COVID. So the belt, the way it looked, is not going to look that way. But still, the red strap...
It looks like the worst creation on 2K ever.
Yes. Somebody posted a picture of it next to the old NWA TV title, because apparently that had a red strap at one point.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like it at all. It has a red strap. That's about it.
It's the same circle size as the 24/7 championship.
Pretty much, yeah.
And one of my favorite memes, I've sent you one like this before, when it was like Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler looking like Rick Rude and Mr. Perfect.
Right.
Hey, man, can I copy your homework? Yeah, just change it up a bit so it doesn't look alike. Yeah, no problem. And it's a picture of the 24/7 title and the TNT title right next to each other. And that's exactly what it looks like, man. It was just... All right, then bring out a fucking trophy. I don't care if it was your old school high school basketball trophy. Bring out something other than a championship that you're going to change. When you're presenting a title and it's going to be a defended title, don't go, well, this is our paper thing for now until, I mean, Jesus Christ, I would have cut out a piece of paper and brought it out. And like that,
WCW did it. WCW.
With the title?
Yeah. They had an interim physical title belt.
Oh, when Flair took off.
Yep.
That's right. I don't care, man. This was just, I didn't care. It looked ugly as shit.
It did.
But,
yeah,
match was good. Wrong guy went over.
Yeah, man.
And it's not, and I want to say this right now. This is not me saying, oh, he runs the company, so he's going to take the title.
Yeah.
Because I've already been proven wrong on that a million times because, I mean, shit, Triple H, Vince McMahon, Stephanie, Shane, everybody's held titles. So it's not against it. And in WCW, when people were booking, they were booking themselves too. However, you have to make sure it fits. It does fit that how it all played out with Tyson, Arn Anderson, Jake Roberts. It all played out for Cody to win. I liked how it all played out. I still think Lance Archer should have won it.
I didn't like how it played out, and I didn't like the result. I don't like, as soon as Tyson got up, I'm like, oh, Cody's winning. Like, it telegraphed it, and I'm like, why? The match itself was good because it's the match that you expect. You expect Archer to maintain control during most of the match. You get a few big hope spots from Cody. He's not going to give up. And then at the end, I know you already did it. You can't really do the same ending because you already did it with Moxley or, but something like, he can look honorable and defeat Cody. And he's put other people over. Why not put him over?
Simple. You know what they should have did? When they kicked out Arn Anderson, for no reason they kicked out Jake Roberts. That was weird. Because Arn Anderson apparently touched the foot of...
I don't know. He did. Arn Anderson did, but I don't think Jake got kicked out. I think he just went to get the snake.
No, the ref turned and said, you too. And he goes,
okay.
What do you mean?
Okay.
But then he came right back out with a snake.
Yeah, right?
I was like, if you want to run to the back to get the snake, that's fine. If you wanted to make Cody look honorable but still lose, Jake should have distracted him after Anderson went out.
Yep.
It shouldn't have been how it went. And Tyson, oh dear shit, I love this fucking dude, man, but he's always just been awkward as fuck in a wrestling ring because they give him the direction. All right, first, he's in the right company when you want to say, come on, motherfucker. You couldn't do that in WWE, but when he got in the face and started flexing, he goes, come on, motherfucker. Great. I go, that's Tyson. But after that whole thing, he turns and gets his shirt, and you literally see one of the wrestlers from the crowd as he's trying to put his shirt on. They go, no, you need the title. The match wasn't over. And here's another one. As Cody hit the move, you got to watch this. AEW fucked up. The ref was going 1, 2, and someone on the outside was handing the title to Mike Tyson, being like, "That, yeah, it's ending. Here you go." I watched that, and I was like, "Damn it!" But then when Tyson, you know what I really wanted overall? When he came back and had that, when he took his shirt off, but he was coming back and putting his shirt back on. I'm like, dude, why do you need to put it back on? It's kind of weird. You of all people, you look good. Why would you do that?
Right.
I just had this 1% hope that he was using AEW for a platform properly, like he ran it by him. And when he took that Double or Nothing shirt off, I thought when he went towards back and grabbed that shirt, because it's what he threw it at Jake, because he had the snake, he threw his shirt at him. When he came back, I go, is that a different shirt? Because it kind of looked it. I wanted him to put it on. It said Tyson versus Holyfield 3. Like, I want him to use it as a promotion platform stance or something like that and be like a big announcement for people. Like, right there, it's got announced at AEW. It was twofold. He helped us. We helped him.
Right.
I wanted it to be that. I go, maybe he's doing something big. But we also just found out Tyson's going to be on Dynamite tonight. So we'll see where it goes from there. I like Tyson being involved, but to an extent.
Yeah. Let's not overdo it.
And only on pay-per-views can you really get those motherfuckers out. So
yeah. Yeah.
Now, let's talk about. I'm gonna let you talk first because I think I'm gonna really steal your thunder either positively or negatively. Please tell me about our main event because it wasn't the world title match.
Okay.
And that bothers me.
The world title match?
You just took Brody Lee and said, we're going to put you in the world title picture. Finally, after WWE has fucked you over for years, you're in a double main event match.
Yeah.
You're the second to last match. Fuck that. Title match should have ended it. The Canadian Stampede, or I'm sorry, I keep calling it Canadian
Stadium
Stampede.
Stampede.
The Stadium Stampede. I'd have been fine if it opened the show. I don't think that fucking 1 hour show that went down like that. It was a long fucking match. I don't think that should have closed the show, personally.
I think it was... How long was it? 30, 40 minutes?
It was 40 minutes.
Yeah, okay. It could
Maybe
have been
45 with all the entrances and all that shit.
It could have been 20. Because there were some things that I liked. I'll try to be positive. I'll
start with your positives, and then
Yes.
I'm sure I'll throw the negatives.
I was going to say, you go over the negatives. So, the entrances for the Inner Circle was pretty awesome.
I laughed because, especially when Ortiz is the only one that came out with a helmet on, I was like, perfect.
Yeah.
And then he quickly stopped and did the stance and then ran on. But it was cool because JR was saying, Jericho's wearing his dad's jersey number.
Yes.
Sammy's wearing the year he was born. And Hager's wearing his one that he wore in college. I go, that's fucking cool, man. I'm like, I really like that. I like that part.
Right.
I did like that they were all in matching football jerseys. But when I saw it, I go, wait, is this just going to be a football fight in the field? I didn't realize there was even a ring at this point. I was like, what? Yeah, so I'm with you. I did the how they all came out.
Right.
The Elite got me, or I'm sorry, not the Inner Circle got me into the match to begin with.
Sure.
Good
Yeah.
positive.
So, the Elite's entrance was okay. Obviously, Hangman Page didn't come out immediately, and everybody seemed worried except for Kenny.
I know he kept going, it's okay.
Yeah, right. And then and of course, God damn it, Kenny had the broom again. God damn it, please stop.
He's a sweeper.
The custodian dick.
Oh, no, I wanted to say the cleaner, and I just said the sweeper. That's fucking funny
I
that
thought you were being
custodian.
sarcastic.
Don't get mad at me because you're a janitor, yo. It's custodian, dick.
Oh, we've gone off the rails again, but we're still recording.
Yes,
so that's a
human
good
being.
thing. Maybe not. Anyway.
Are we talking half-baked? Or
Yeah,
are we?
so...
Anyway.
The ring really didn't come into play. Aubrey blows a whistle, and they all start charging. And they're all fighting, and it's just chaos. It's hard to decipher what the fuck's going on.
You don't know if it's a football game,
I have
a
no reason to
wrestling
care.
match.
The only reason I started to care again was because all of a sudden, God damn it, finally, Adam Hangman Page on a horse. So fucking
That
cool.
was not expected. I knew he was going to be coming in. I thought he was just going to do what he did the other night, and they were going to just have him, like, you would see someone throw someone down the field, and they just kept running, like Ortiz, right? Because, he sells the shit out of stuff, and we'll get back to that. I thought it was going to be a clothesline, but then he comes in on a horse. I go, yes.
when he didn't come in and Kenny was like, don't worry, that's when I kind of thought, I'm like, they're going to fucking do the horse. And he runs down Sammy Guevara and chases him in the back. Fucking hilarious.
Sammy plays the part great.
Oh, yeah, no, but he's got shell shock from last week. So
Not a fan of, I got to say this. I get that, like, you see Will Ospreay do it and stuff. I get that it's for, I think, circulation purposes when you do the suction shit.
Yeah, Kenny.
It looks so weird when you see it on Kenny. I'm like, man, couldn't you
cupping.
do that after the match? I don't know why. I'm like, it just looks weird. Especially when Ospreay showed up to Wrestle Kingdom, he had like 10 of them on his back. I'm like,
Right.
You look like you should be in a hospital bed right now, man.
Yeah, that's a whole different conversation right there.
Yo, you got the Rona?
Yeah.
All right. Any more positives of this match?
So, yeah, no, there's definitely... Well, oh, God, I don't know if I could really call it
For
a
every positive, a negative hit right away.
The bar scene with Hangman Page and Jake Hager
And
was
Hager.
fucking fantastic. I kind of wish it would have lasted, like, the quiet part would have lasted a little bit longer. Like, Hager could
I
have
kind of wish
taken a
they
sip.
went back to it a couple more times and
Right,
shit, like, before they
yes,
started fighting.
yes.
I thought it was cool.
Oh, but they just kept smashing bottles over his head. I like that. I think that's pretty cool. Again,
I actually didn't mind the part with, because it's a positive, I'll throw this in there. I actually didn't mind the break that Hangman and Omega took. One has milk, one has whiskey. I thought that was just kind of, I was like, I'm all right with this one.
yeah. Why don't you tell me your thoughts on the whole pool spot?
With Matt Hardy?
and Santana and Ortiz.
I laughed at it because they brought back Mattitude facts.
Ortiz.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Matt Fact.
That I love that because they brought those back, and it said Broken Matt, Classic Matt,
Big Money Matt was
Money
on there.
Matt. Yeah, and I was like, holy shit, that's so cool. And then underwater, he's throwing the Hardy Boys signs. I was like,
it's
all
so
right, I'm down with
ridiculous.
that. But again, those were positives, ridiculous positives. I actually liked when Matt Hardy. All right, hang on, let me get this because now this is going to be a positive negative. Like I said, everything that had a positive and negative just right with it. Matt Hardy, well, a negative started, then it went to a positive. Matt Hardy rings the bell right next to Ortiz, and he goes into full-blown seizure mode.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, it can stop now, man. And he kept going and going and going. It got worse. He looked like he was really dying. But what Matt was doing, this is the positive, is where Matt is taping him to the chair. And he's like, yes, you are going to want to do this. Sit in the chair for the next couple weeks. Oh, take 2 of these. Doing a whole fucking doctor prescription to him. I go, that was awesome. Because it's him having creativity with himself. You know what I mean? He wasn't told, don't say that. When you do funny shit like that, it's good stuff, man. And good shit. That I liked, but then Ortiz selling way too long was killing me.
Yeah. I'd see that.
Do you have any more positives before I dog shit on this?
Not really, man. I mean, those were the
Okay.
big things that I really liked.
All right.
Jericho giving the
Comical.
Judas effect to the mascot. I like that.
I kind of was hoping the mascot was going to be someone else. Like he was going to take it off and shit. Honestly, I was like, man, what if this was like a Rusev or something like that? You know what I mean? Like something like you just pop it off and right there. But as soon as he came to quick Judas effect, I go, nah, even better. All right. I'm going to go back and forth on things I liked and didn't like. I like the presentation of things that they were trying to accomplish, but I didn't like the use of it. I don't know how I'm going to put it. It's weird, right? Matt Jackson doing 100 yards of that backflip thing to Sammy Guevara. First, one of them, it sounds like it hurt. But every time they panned away and did something, you knew they jogged like 30 yards down the field and did a couple more. And I'm like, but all right, that's fine. I go that road if you need to, but you knew it was played out. And then he does the Alex Wright dance. I'm like, yo, you'd be dead after doing all those. At least work it. At least Hangman Page ran that fucking thing, man. This wasn't like that. I was like, all right. I hated Aubrey. And he's like, that was 3, and he throws a red flag. And then they go into the tent, and you hear him arguing. The only good positive that came out is he goes, you're a shitty ref. I laughed at that. The other negative but positive, Sammy wakes up from the sprinklers, and he goes, I'm the last man standing. I won. Loved it, especially because like he got hit in the face hard by that sprinkler on one of them. I was like, that can't feel good. Only to meet a golf cart again. Now, this was my favorite part of the match. Actually, hang on, I got to back up. I didn't like the fucking flag that the ref threw. Whatever it was, man.
It was at the end of the Northern Lights after he did the dance. He got flagged.
Yeah.
For unsportsmanlike, and then he super kicked him.
It was dumb.
Yeah.
You're bringing football rules into this now. I didn't get it. You didn't even explain the rules. And each guy has a red flag on their team.
It's not a wrestling match, man. It's a skit.
Well, but it ended in a wrestling ring. Or it ended in wrestling terms, being pinned.
Yeah, true.
Is what I mean. But the only thing I absolutely thought was the best part of the match was the one-wing angel from that height. Because you didn't know what was below. They didn't show you that.
Yeah.
And when he did it, you're like, I thought he was going to do the one-wing angel right on that black platform that they were on. Which, Sammy was soaked from the water hoses. When he got up there, if you notice, when he pushed Matt Hardy off, Sammy slipped and went off that platform. It wasn't supposed to. And he still lands, but remember, those are all the seats right there he had to land on. You heard his foot slip a little bit. The fact that that one-wing angel, I didn't know where the ending was going to go and how far it went down, I go, that looked cool. And it's funny because they used kind of two broken platforms in one night. Moxley and Brody Lee, and he came out bleeding.
Yeah.
And then this one, but it ended the match. It was cool, but 40 minutes too long.
Yeah.
Or 20 minutes too long. It was a 40-minute match, but I'd say 20 minutes too long.
You're doing the same. Yeah, you're doing what WWE is doing in a sense. I'm not saying you're copying. I'm not saying, you know, but it's the whole cinematics comedy. Like,
it went too far.
Yeah, man, it did. It went too far, I guess. Yeah.
Like the underwater thing with Santana Ortiz, yes. And then you have
if you're gonna do something that's, if you're gonna do comedy skit, then have the feud be a comedy skit. Have you guys are hanging out at the stadium because they're taping Dynamite, and fucking Santana and Ortiz run into Hangman and Omega, and they just start getting into it, and then you see two other. If you want to get your comedy in,
make it natural.
Yeah, don't make a match, a quote match, and then
that has absolutely no driven rules.
Shtick for 40 minutes.
Yeah. Now, if you want to do that, and it was a 20 to 30-minute match, and it was your mid-card match, I would have been fine with it, but don't close your show with that.
Yeah.
You were trying to do the boneyard. You were trying to do everything you could to match up that cinematic thing. It looked good. I liked how they did it.
Yes.
If you want to talk presentation, I mean, I wouldn't have edited it any better. It looked good, but it was just too long, too drawn out.
Sure.
It was good. Worst thing of the match, just those fucking marks on Omega. It was just really weird.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so that was that pay-per-view. All right. It was better than Money in the Bank.
It certainly was.
But I don't think it was AEW's best. Mm-mm. However, they are working with the cards they were dealt. I mean, you can't have fans, so your show is going to be altered the way you normally do it. I think they're working with the best they can, and they've given compelling stuff, and it was a decent pay-per-view. Not one I'm going to say I could watch from beginning to end.
I agree.
Again, I mean.
Yeah, I agree. The one thing that I will say, I think that this pay-per-view, if nothing else, it reaffirms the talent that they have moving forward. There's no doubt, because a lot
especially with the match stealer, man, we said it.
Yeah.
You are showing that in about 5 years, both guys are probably going to be fighting for the world championship against each other in mega huge matches here in AEW. And telling you right now, these are who you're going to want to watch.
Yep, and you still have, people like Scorpio Sky, Kip Sabian, you still have Lance Archer. So, Brian Cage is there now. Who knows who else is going to show up. So, yeah.
Man, you want to tell me this? You really, after you took a competitor like Rey Fenix, you didn't look for a wrestling type like Rey Fenix? Instead, you went with Joey Janela. Like, you could have went with Christopher Daniels. You could have went with so many different people. You went with Joey Janela.
Yeah.
No one expected him to win. I don't like him. I don't like him at all. He has that face that if I just want to fucking punch. I don't know why. I see his face, and I'm like, God. Like, when he was even giving the promo, and he's like, Rey Fenix is out, and they called me. I go, please let someone jump him from behind right now. I was like, please don't let him in this match.
He's the dollar store version of Jon Moxley.
The dollar store version? It's so real.
Prove me wrong.
Wow. Joey Janela, wow. All right, so that's our new name. We have Bob Roode, we got Private Profits.
We've got to make
now we have Dollar Store Mox.
For the finale, we need a list of all the names we've assigned.
Done. Well, the thing is, we talk about good top stuff. We have top jokes like that. Now let's talk about today's top topic.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for...
Best there is, the best there was, and the best that there ever will be. Hold 2, arm bar.
Sodas rule. Yeah, they do.
Hold 3, the moss-covered, 3-handle family granunzel. It's me, Austin.
Just when they think they ain't got the answers, I change the questions.
I did it for The Rock.
This week's top topic.
You know something, Mean Gene? John Cena.
Wrestling's not fake.
The Rolex wearing one. Diamond ring wearing one. Kid stealing. Woo. Wheeling dealing. One. Limousine riding. One. Jet flying. One. Son of a gun. Woo.
Sierra Hotel, India, Echo, Lima.
following ranking order and final decisions are a completely bias-based order, based off The Professor and ODM Made It. And as always, they like to let you know they have not worked in the business, but have been lifelong invested fans much like you, our listeners. With not only their opinions involved, but with countless amount of hours of research done each week, they make sure to provide proper facts and history to back it up. However, they do know that your opinion may vary from theirs. If there is anything you want to chat about, bring to their attention. If there is something they missed or forgot, or you just want to let them know they are out of their freaking minds, feel free to shoot them a message on Facebook or Twitter, or email them at thetopofwrestling@gmail.com. As always, they do appreciate all feedback and continued support. At the end of the day, they want to make sure that you do see the best of the best before you die. And now, this week's top topic.
Ring of Honor. Top 25 matches from ROH. Again, I said at the beginning, I'll always say it. This is the original company that ever since WCW went down, this is the one company that had the opportunity to rival the Machine, to take on WWE. The way AEW is doing it now, Ring of Honor could have did it a bunch of different times in different eras. Why do I say that? Because NXT and AEW is built of all Ring of Honor wrestlers and a good chunk of who your mainstays are on the main roster. We're talking anybody from, I'll just go quickly here. You got Punk, Joe, Rollins, Daniels, all of fucking Undisputed Era. You know what I mean? Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, all these guys, Cody. Everybody has been in Ring of Honor. That company should have propelled by now. Unfortunately, here we are. The company started in 2002, and I feel like it's hanging on by a thread. Like, you feel like that someone's just going to light the fire and it's going to go.
Even with a partnership with New Japan.
Yeah, well, man, you know what? Their best height, I would say, not best height, man. I don't know where their highest height ever really was, but one big thing was, you know, in the 2013, 14, 15, and 16, you had New Japan and Ring of Honor were working together with each other heavily. Mm-hmm. You had Global Wars. You had War of the Worlds. You know, Young Bucks, when they came over during some of those earlier ones, like in 2011, that was a crossover. They weren't working for Ring of Honor. They're working for New Japan at the time.
Right.
You know, so it's, a lot of people think that that's where they were from. No, they were mainly a New Japan stay. But all the guys on this list today, most of them aren't with Ring of Honor anymore, and they're on your big television now. The problem with Ring of Honor is I think their biggest downfall was they got hooked up with Sinclair Broadcasting, and it just went to shit right after that because they were trying to get a cable TV deal, and then, well, we're going to put you in the 2 a.m. slot. But don't worry, it'll follow up at 5 a.m. so that nobody actually gets a chance to see it.
Yeah.
So, every one of these matches I've seen. I am a very, very big fan of, if I'm going to get into a company, you know, like WWE, I started from as early as I could, right? But if I'm going to really get into a company, I want to see how it progressed. You know, like Progress Wrestling, same thing. I watched from chapter 1 all the way to chapter 40-something. Each one was called chapter something. But these, I went all the way back into the 2002 era and was able to see every one of the pay-per-views. And these matches in Ring of Honor, the way the fans treated it, they treated it as if it was a boxing fight or a UFC fight. Like, it's real. They just treat it like the way they get behind the wrestlers, the cheering and stuff. It was just a different norm for what you were seeing with WWE. It was a clean version of ECW, right? You have that real rowdy chanting crowd, but they're not calling for your head and tables and stuff. They want to see you perform and wrestle. Ring of Honor, to me, is why competitive athletic wrestling is what it is today. Because of the guys you had there, too. And the whole point is that it's the code of honor. We're fighting for honor. And Ring of Honor was about taking all of the best from around all of the independents and putting them in one house. And that's what this was all about. Problem with Ring of Honor is they were also, they got into some arguments. They didn't get into arguments. They were a tough thing to fight for when certain guys like, let's say, AJ Styles and Joe and Punk, when they started working in TNA, they had the opportunity to go back to Ring of Honor for stuff, and AJ was the champ, and CM Punk heavily talks about this one. AJ Styles was the champ in TNA, and they had the chance to go do some stuff in Ring of Honor, and TNA said, no, we don't want you to go doing that. And Punk was like, we're contract wrestlers. We could do whatever we want. You're the world champ. You got them by the balls. The only one to commit to it was Punk. He went back to Ring of Honor because that's what he believed in. He didn't believe, I don't think, in TNA anywhere near that he did for Ring of Honor. And a show or a platform like Ring of Honor is exactly what a lot of guys needed. And a lot of guys made their career in that ROH ring. And we're going to talk about it right now. Actually, two guys that are partners right now are match number 25. They're not tag team partners, but they are in the same stable. We're talking about Adam Cole.
Baby!
Nice. And Kyle O'Reilly. This comes in at number 25. This is a hybrid fighting rules match from Best in the World 2012. This match, they're tag teamed together. This is why this match happens, is because Future Shock, that's the name of Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. They are a tag team with each other, and they break up. And let me ask you, who do you think went heel?
I would think it would be Adam Cole, baby.
It was Kyle O'Reilly. Adam Cole is face at this time. Adam Cole actually doesn't even really turn heel until well into close to being in the world champ. And in this match, it's a hybrid fighting rule. So you're doing wrestling moves, but strikes are legal. These guys were taking open palm strikes, hitting each other right in the face. And on one of them, Adam Cole's front teeth get knocked out, or a couple of them did.
Jesus.
His face is bleeding, and he wrestled as if it was the very first move and he never even got hurt. He just kept going. That match shows you how strong he was. I feel like that match propelled him just in seconds because he showed how badass he could be and continue on with a match. Awesome match, and honestly, it's 2012 at that point. Adam Cole's not a champ. Kyle O'Reilly isn't even a tag team champ. Nothing's going on for these guys, right? But that's where it just begins. Very soon later, Kyle O'Reilly is going to be teaming up with Bobby Fish, and they're going to form Red Dragon. And Adam Cole is going to go on to be a TV champ and a world champ, working with the Kingdom and Bullet Club. So, great match between the two. If you want to talk about kind of like the Jannetty's and Michaels split feud, these guys really brought out the brawl as if two friends had broken up. Just prior to this, they were as they were tag teaming with each other, there's a special match that happened just not too long before that where there was the American Wolves. You have Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards. They both teamed with one of each of these guys, and they all took on each other in a tag team mix kind of thing where you split up the two tag teams and work together. And it was planting the seeds for the breakup, and that's how we led to this hybrid fighting rules at Best in the World. But number 25, Cole versus O'Reilly. Talking of Eddie Edwards, he comes in at number 24 against another Undisputed Era man, Roderick Strong, at Manhattan Mayhem 4. This match was huge because Eddie Edwards, who is a very small stature kind of guy compared to the rest of your wrestling roster, him and Davey Richards are not tall at all. But they can go in the ring, and they got power. They got speed. And Roddy drops the title to Eddie Edwards in New York City, and one of the best crowd pops ever. New York City and Ring of Honor have some great moments just because of the crowd pops. And I have to use that because it's a segue that really works for number 23. Bryan Danielson has a pretty decent feud going with Homicide. When they reached the end of 2006, at Final Battle, right in New York City, which is Homicide's hometown, I will never forget the lariat that he gives that finishes Bryan Danielson, and he takes the world title. You want to hear a crowd go. I mean, it's not even like they were like, yeah. I mean, like everybody screamed so loud it sounded like everybody was crying at once. Like it was just such a. I mean, it was one of the best pops I've actually heard to date. It's one of my favorite ones ever. And Homicide, I didn't expect him to win the world title at all. Especially at Bryan Danielson. I was like, Homicide was a perfect heel. He rivaled people like Samoa Joe and CM Punk for many years. He spit on the ROH title when Joe was the champion. It was a big sign of disrespect because this whole company is about honor. It's about the wrestling. And Homicide's biggest thing was walking around saying, fuck your honor. He used to be one of the guys that when you stand in the middle of the ring to shake hands, he spit on your hand or just walked away. He was a part of the Rottweilers. One of my favorite things with Homicide was he had, I'm going to blank on his name right now, Smoke. God damn, I can't remember his manager's name. What I loved is that he'd just get on the mic and go, brr, brr, brr. Just kept doing that as a pump up for the crowd or whatever. And he's like, Homicide, brr. I don't know why. I just absolutely loved it about him. He just got you pumped up. Smoke, Stacky Smokes, something like that. Smacks. God damn it. All right, edit. Not really. But yeah, we're done editing for the day for on round 2 of this show.
Yeah.
But Homicide, most people are probably most familiar with Homicide, probably going back to him with Hernandez and TNA, as they were the original LAX to what we see with Santana and Ortiz. But if you haven't seen some of his singles stuff, very, very, very thug life like style. I mean, like he was doing some shit to people. He was bringing a spike to the ring and stabbing them right in the head. It was awesome. I loved watching Homicide because it just brought a different feel to an all wrestling company. That here's this badass that can wrestle, but he's also like, yo, he should be arrested for some of these things he's doing
right.
Here. Coming in at number 22, you talk about a hometown title win with Homicide there in New York City. This is a great one. Reborn Stage 2, CM Punk and Colt Cabana. That is the Second City Saints. They take on the Briscoes, Mark and Jay, at Reborn Stage 2 2004. And in this match, the Briscoes come in as tag champs, and the hometown heroes take that title, take the title win. Another huge pop. But how this match played out was even better. Because this match, they did what you should do in a tag team wrestling match. You not only just cut the ring off. If you want to win, just take a guy out. Let's make sure he's not involved in this match. And at different times, Cabana was out of the match. And at different times, Punk was out of the match. So it looked like you just can't beat these Briscoes, man. Them boys. Can't beat them boys. And they, it was, honestly, I miss this era because Punk and Cabana are naturally over. And this is when the crowd wants to cheer the Briscoes. They've been bad for so long, but you're like, man, they've been here also for the last couple of years. They're in a lot of our best tag matches, and so it's hard to cheer against them. But when you're in Chicago, you only cheer for one man. That's CM Punk. Now, this was a match I know that you got the chance to see and you were a fan of. Final Battle 2015. AJ Styles versus Jay Lethal. This match was a classic. What happens right after this, ODM?
Shortly after that, AJ Styles debuts at the Royal Rumble.
That's right. So I think we all had the idea that he was not going to win this title. Actually, what's crazy is that right after this match, less than, I want to say 2 weeks later, is when Styles Nakamura 1 happens at Wrestle Kingdom.
Nice.
Once Styles didn't win this title, and then I saw he didn't win the Intercontinental title, I go, he's definitely going to WWE. But this is when he didn't win it at Final Battle, I knew it. Right there, I said, he's not winning against Nakamura. I knew it right there. I said he's going to be going to WWE because you knew his free agency run was slowing down. Like you knew that he was going to be settling down. But what's crazy is that this match, Styles injured. If you watch this match, he fights and he sells his back, and they talked about it. But he was having a lot of back problems at this time. And he still went on and had a great match with Jay Lethal, who I actually think is one of the greatest Ring of Honor champions of all time. And he then went on and had a huge, stiff, hard match with Nakamura. Styles is tough. That's a great match. I think not talked about enough, because then he turned and went right to the Royal Rumble. I feel like it kind of shot that Final Battle match to the wayside. Number 20, we talked about Kyle O'Reilly tagging up with Bobby Fish eventually. They become Red Dragon. At War of the Worlds 2014, they take on the Young Bucks. Bucks are not in Ring of Honor at this time. This is War of the Worlds is one of those crossovers with New Japan and Ring of Honor. I generally would never, ever, ever want to put Young Bucks in a top category match. I feel like every one of their matches are just kind of spot fest cookie cutters. However, this one is their best. I'm a huge fan of it. And you even get cameos from a couple of different people. First, Tom Lawler. Everybody knows him, MLW. But here's a big one. Shayna Baszler. I went back and rewatched this match not too long ago. I go, holy shit. I watched this match back then and didn't know who she was. Now I'm watching her on NXT, Raw, all this stuff, and I go back and see her on here. I go, wow, didn't even know she was there. That's kind of cool. Just random that Shayna Baszler actually had a small stint in Ring of Honor. Here's another one for you. Have you ever seen I think it was the Entourage movie that Ronda Rousey was in? Did you see that?
Nope.
No. She's in there too. All the MMA 4 horsewomen are in that Entourage scene. It's a great scene where one of the guys is trying to ask Ronda Rousey on a date. And he goes, how about I take you out in the ring? He goes, if I last 30 seconds, I could take you on a date. Or he goes, I'll let you beat me. And she goes, you'll let me? And he goes, all right, if I last 30 seconds in the ring, she goes, you last 60 seconds, I'll let you fuck me. And then he gets his ass kicked into an armbar in like 10 seconds. It's a great scene. But all the MMA 4 horsewomen are in that. I found that to be very cool. But in this match, honestly, Red Dragon shows why they are one of the best tag teams in this generation. Honestly, they're two guys that could be very easily awesome single competitors, but they thrive as a tag team.
They gel.
It almost made me sad when Bobby Fish went down not too long ago, and I was like, oh no. But it's cool. Roddy's got your back, man. It's good because Roddy and all these guys, they all worked in Ring of Honor for years together. So, but Red Dragon, I think, I was kind of mad that they didn't get to use that name when they showed up at Takeover a couple of years ago.
Right.
They named him. They go, you hear Nigel, it's Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. I'm like, and you're not going to call him Red Dragon? But I'm assuming maybe ROH owned that one. Number 19 is one of the only times I can actually remember seeing a very good crossover between promotions. I mean, I like the New Japan one, but it's like a one-night thing, and that's it, But CZW and Ring of Honor had a year-long feud where they were all just showing up at each other's shows, jumping each other. I mean, we're talking, in this match here, this is called the Cage of Death match. It might as well, it's actually Ring of Honor's version of, come on, Regal.
War Games!
It was. It's just that. It's a cage match where the real match doesn't begin until everybody's involved because everybody's coming out one by one or whatever the case is. This match is Ring of Honor versus CZW. So you have, for Ring of Honor, your team is Ace Steel, Adam Pearce, BJ Whitmer, Bryan Danielson, Homicide, and Samoa Joe. They are taking on, you ready for this? CZW's team of Chris Hero, Claudio Casanelli, who we know as Cesaro, Eddie Kingston, Nate Webb, and Necro Butcher. I got to say right now, if anybody didn't get a view and had the same visual in your head that I did, when Brody Lee came out bleeding, he looked like Necro Butcher the exact same way, just the tank top and bleeding. And I'm like, because I've never seen Brody bleed in WWE, so he came out like that. I go, holy shit, he looks like Necro right now. This match is awesome, and there's a reason it's called the Cage of Death match. The amount of weapons and blood that's in this match, it's everything you want. But like I said, it's a blood feud, saying that our promotion's taking over your promotion. It was awesome. You don't see it like this anymore. And after this, you also have Chris Hero, Cesaro, or Claudio. Everybody's staying around in Ring of Honor, and then they become the kings of wrestling. It was a way of introducing talent. You know that they're working for both companies sometimes as they're contracted wrestlers. So it was a great way to highlight both shows or both promotions. Everybody wins. WWE doesn't want to do that. They're like, we only want to win. We don't want any other promotion out there.
Right.
There are no other promotions. Even though you know there are ones, there's not. Now, number 18. This was... Man, I'm going to have you go back to back. Cool. All right. Number 18. We have a triple threat match that takes place at All-Star Extravaganza 8. You have, actually, one of my favorite tag teams of all time, Motor City Machine Guns. Huge fan of them. They take on Bad Influence, who you know now as SCU, which is Daniels and Kaz, minus Scorpio Sky at the time, versus the Young Bucks. It is a triple threat ladder match, but I don't think that's what they call it in Ring of Honor. What do they call it there?
Ladder Wars!
Ladder Wars. You got to take it a little bit different from what WWE calls it, I guess. That's cool. What I like about Ring of Honor and their ladder matches and ladder wars, they label each one of them. This was like Ladder War 7.
Oh, okay.
Because they want it to be so few and far between. They don't want to be having 84 ladder matches a year. They want it to be an attraction. Their most recent one that I was a big fan of was Briscoes taking on Guerrillas of Destiny just this past summer, just about a year ago.
Yep.
They had a great match with them. And, man, when they right after the Guerrillas lose the titles to the Briscoes, they jumped them the very next night, and the best promo comes afterwards with Tama Tonga backstage, and he goes, No, we ain't waiting on Twitter, shoot promos, we answer you fuckers the very next night. He goes, you want to bring ladders into it? Man up, bitch. Oh, and you say man up to Briscoes, that's them.
Yeah, right.
Man up. Man, I'm like, God, I love Tama Tonga. I want to see him in AEW. I've seen him trading some shots on Twitter recently with Omega and Cody.
Yeah.
I hope that's what it leads to, is bringing in Gorillas into there, because that will excel your tag division right away.
Yep.
I know I'm going down a rabbit hole with that because we're talking about Ladder Wars, but this one is the best, I think, one of the best Ladder Wars matches they've ever had. And it's a mega spot fest, but if you want to do it the right way, you can't have 6 more agile performers in there. Matt and Nick Jackson, Frankie Kazarian, Christopher Daniels, Chris Sabian, and Alex Shelley. I mean, they're just all high-flying performers. Everybody can move. Everybody can go. I got to say, way too many botches, by the way. The other night, Kazarian botched a couple of times in that ladder thing. He went to do a Hurricane Rana, and Luchasaurus basically just had to drop him and then kind of flip his body over. This match, no botches. This was a great spot fest that had no botches. We'll call it that.
There you go.
But it's a good match, you know what I mean? Because I'm a happy man when I get to see a ladder match, because you get to see a lot of cool things. But I put this one up against probably any ladder match that WWE has produced in the last 10 years at least. They don't have really good ladder matches anymore, even with your Money in the Bank. Actually, I tune out Money in the Bank after watching Lesnar walk down the aisle and just win it, not even doing a move. That shit kills me still.
Yeah.
And Randy Orton's face said it all. Now, this match coming up at number 17, this actually got 5 stars. AJ Styles and the Young Bucks take on Trent Beretta, Kazuchika Okada, and Rocky Romero. They're known as Chaos in New Japan. And at Global Wars 2015, this match is a 6-man tag that was so back and forth, but not only just back and forth, it is showcasing the moves and athleticism of each one of the guys. Especially for someone like Trent Beretta, This is a giant stage for him. Right a little bit before this, I mean, yeah, he's been working in New Japan, but in America, he was in WWE, and they as soon as they brought him in, they spit him right back out. So him coming to Ring of Honor and showcasing what he can do back in the States again, it was good to see. And he worked his ass off in that match. I want to see him go single. He's got to get away from
Agreed.
The shoe.
The shoe.
Or the boot, or whatever he is.
No, the shoe. You're right.
The label.
You're right.
In Rocky Romero, I never really caught on or paid attention much to him. I know that him and Trent were a good tag team.
Right.
But at this match, the whole thing is just leading up to Dominion because we're going to have AJ Styles and Kazuchika Okada for the world title. This whole match was leading towards it. In Global Wars, I think the 2015 era of New Japan and Ring of Honor working together, this was their best year. This is also the year that Nakamura took on, it's not going to make this list, but that's the year that Nakamura took on Kevin Steen. And it was awesome. Because everybody knows how, well, WWE calls it good vibrations. Jesus, I hate that shit.
Yeah.
But when he does the foot in the corner and he kind of convulses, he was doing it, and Kevin Steen stands up and goes, "What is wrong with you? Are you okay? Are you feeling all right?" Like, calling it out. It was awesome. It was a perfect match to have between the both of them. You put comedy with some strong style. It was awesome, but it was on the same card. Just not as good a match.
Nice.
But speaking of Kevin Steen, he actually rolls in at number Sweet 16. Him and El Generico. They took on each other at Final Battle 2012. In what kind of match, brother?
Ladder War!
This match is for the Ring of Honor World Title. Why this match is happening is... Wait, was it for the World Title? Yes, okay, I did a double check in my head. Is because at this time, Kevin Steen has just run rampant over Ring of Honor. He's made his way back. He's got his contract back. But there's one man he has just never beaten. And that's his old tag team partner, El Generico. He owes him big because 2 years before this, Kevin Steen lost his job to Generico, basically, at that Ring of Honor Final Battle 2010 pay-per-view. Cornette put it in place. If you lose, you are banned from Ring of Honor. And Kevin Steen went away solid from TV, everything from there for nearly a year, and he showed back up just late 2011, right in, I think towards the end of it, maybe if not even Final Battle. And 1 year later, him and Generico are back in the spotlight in Ladder Wars. I can't do it. I make it worse, man. You sound so much better doing that. That's why you're our impressionist.
I know. That's all. That's the only thing I've said in the last half hour, but...
Sorry, I can't get... Maybe I'll just say, what pay-per-view was it? 1 year anniversary.
Yeah, that'll get
But
old
that's
quick.
what we're talking about. At number 15, 1 year anniversary, 2003. One of the best triple threats I've actually ever watched. AJ Styles taking on Low Key and Paul London. Paul London, absolutely huge fan of him as a tag team wrestler when he was with Brian Kendrick. They were unbelievable together. He had great matches in Ring of Honor as well, especially once he was let go by WWE. He was able to go and do some good work out there. Low Key, jeez, you want to talk about someone that WWE just didn't know what to do with?
Yeah.
Kavarian, was that his name? Kavar? I don't remember his name. They were matching him up with Michelle McCool. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
But AJ Styles, Low Key, and Paul London in 2003, these are guys who are hungry. They are trying to show the world they belong. Little guys belong in a big man world. And this match stole the show that night. It was the best match on the card. Coming in at number 14, you're going to begin to find a little bit of a trend in these last several matches here. But first match is at Midnight Express Reunion 2004. Bryan Danielson takes on Samoa Joe. I actually don't want to talk too much in depth about it, just because I don't need to say much. It's Samoa Joe and Bryan Danielson. You know what I mean?
There you go.
I don't have to say much. It's a great match. Stiff match, but technical. A lot of submission moves.
Yep.
Both guys, of course, can go. Number 13, we have, I already brought him up, Bryan Danielson versus Christopher Daniels versus Low Key. This is a 20-minute classic match, a triple threat match that headlines the very first ever Ring of Honor show. The name of the show is The Era of Honor Begins. And that's your main event. There's no world title champion at this time because it's your first show. They just started saying, all right, here's our show. Now we're going to build to it. It was like 4 pay-per-views later. It was called Crowning a Champion. You know, like they worked towards it before they just started throwing titles at people. Make them earn it. Let's show you who we have, and we'll get there. This match was an excellent triple threat match and really just told you in 2002 each one of these guys is going to be a giant player. I think low-key, I'm not sure. I've heard conflicting stories that he's kind of a... there's been some issues with backstage problems maybe, but whatever it was with Ring of Honor, with WWE, why he just got chewed up and spit out so quick. I mean, he went through that bullshit NXT system that they had at that time. But, obviously, with Bryan Danielson and Christopher Daniels, they're two still guys that you're watching right now, 18 years later. Mm-hmm. So what does that tell you? They knew who they were putting in that main event. Now, one of my favorite feuds of all time, I've said this before, is CM Punk versus Samoa Joe. Because this is showing you how two guys in the 2000s can go the way they did in the 80s. Because nobody was really producing 60-minute classic draws left and right the way that Flair and Steamboat were, Flair and Sting, or basically Flair and anyone. And that's who Punk wanted to idolize. He said he wanted to be the 60-minute man. He wanted to be the one to show you that he can go long matches. Him and Chris Hero have a 90-minute plus match at some point that's out there if you have a chance to find it. But in CM Punk vs. Samoa Joe World Title Classic 2004, it's their first match against each other, and it goes to a 60-minute time limit draw. Crowd's already chanting as soon as that bell rings, 5 more minutes. Or let them go longer. Overtime, sudden death. Doesn't happen. So you're hoping it's going to happen eventually, that they're going to have a rematch. Would they? I already told you it's a trilogy. But it's an awesome feud, one of my favorite feuds of all time. And this match really does kickstart that whole feud. Number 11. All right, man. What kind of match is coming up?
Ladder Wars! I was going to say something different just to screw around, and I'm like, I got nothing, so I'll just go back to the original.
Bob Roode! But no, you know what? We were talking about these guys faced off in Ladder Wars, but these guys were in the first ever Ladder War match. Generico and Steen are tagging up to take on the Briscoe brothers. And again, it is the first ever Ladder Wars match at Man Up 2007. This is also extremely memorable. We've talked about this on our show before.
Yep.
I believe in the Stables episode. Mm-hmm. This is at the end of this match where we get the debut of the Age of the Fall. This is where you hear a woman, this is their entrance theme, a woman just screaming from the top of her lungs. And that's all it was. That was their entrance theme. And it's weird because everybody's looking around like, what the fuck is going on right here? And the Briscoes are left to get the shit kicked out of them as Jimmy Jacobs, Tyler Black, and Brody Lee all show up and take over. And at that moment, as they have Jay Briscoe hanging upside down, blood drains on him, and Jimmy Jacobs is standing there in a white coat having blood just poured all over him. Damn. I mean, I'm talking about the match.
Yep.
It just led into, it was just awesome. I mean, you just got to see the first ever ladder match in Ring of Honor followed up with a debut. It was huge. The whole thing from start to finish was the best way to end that pay-per-view, the best way to end that feud. Because, I mean, Briscoes and Steen and Generico, they've been going at it for quite some time. Bam, insert the Age of the Fall. Now we have a new feud getting in there.
There you go.
And their whole thing was to take over Ring of Honor as well. That was a very big start. As a matter of fact, I mean, it was also a little bit of the partial of the era with CZW, especially with Brody Lee being in there. You know, coming in at number 10, you know, this is a guy that got shafted by WWE pretty hard, I think. Mm-hmm. Austin Aries. I guess his lasting image for me forever will be after he lost his final match, he just smiles into the camera. Like, yeah, I'm leaving this place. But then again, how he fucking handed over the title to John Morrison still pisses me off at Impact, how he walked off flipping the bird. But Austin Aries takes on Bryan Danielson. This is at Testing the Limit 2004. In what kind of match, ODM?
This was a 2 out of 3 falls match.
Oh, man, I gave you the platform and he didn't use it. Dickhead. But you know what? It's called Testing the Limit, and that's just like they did, man. They really did. These guys tested the limits in a 2 out of 3 falls match. What I've always said is if you're going to do a 2 out of 3 falls match, make it interesting. Don't just go with what you see in the norm. And this, the first half was all technical. Second was very submission type. It was just a very, very back and forth match between, again, we're talking, this is 2004. Let's fast forward. Well, I mean, they haven't been on the card at the same time in WWE because Bryan Danielson was out hurt, or with the, retired basically. What could have been, right? Yeah, I mean,
seriously.
I don't even know. Is Austin Aries anywhere right now? Does anybody like or trust him?
No, yeah, I think he's burned pretty much every bridge except for he's like in some stem cell laboratory venture with somebody in AEW. I forget who. That's why he was backstage at AEW that one week. Yeah.
I swear to God, I thought you were about to say he was a part of a stem cell research project or something, and I was like, so he went into the healthcare field?
Well, I mean,
I didn't know. Yeah, I'm confused.
Yeah, no, he's not running the fucking lab.
Well, it made it seem like that. All right. Speaking of, in that match, number 10, we have Bryan Danielson. He comes in at number 9. This match is just memorable to me because of the crowd. Now, we talked about Homicide earlier. He won the world title from Bryan Danielson. The person who dethroned Homicide was someone that no one saw winning the world title. He comes over from Japan. We're talking about Takeshi Morishima. This dude is big. A giant guy, pretty good sized belly, long kind of like orangey blonde hair. Not your normal looking Japan stature, I guess, if you will. A Japanese wrestler, right?
Right.
But he wasn't too far off from like Kabashi. You ain't got to be the best looking guy or in shape guy, like a Samoa Joe. That's who he reminds me of.
Right.
He's a Japanese Samoa Joe. And he could go. And in this match, he's taking on Bryan Danielson. Takeshi is defending his title in this match and retains in a classic match. But what I love is Bryan Danielson is just booed to shit in this match, and the crowd is chanting, "You're going to get your fucking head kicked in. You're going to get your fucking head kicked in." That's what they just kept chanting because they wanted Takeshi to take his fucking head off. It was awesome. I miss those Ring of Honor crowds, man. The original ones, when they used to mess with you and the wrestlers would get right back in your face. Go back and watch the early years. One guy always had a, what's that? The Green Man, or the Green Hornet type. It looks like an upside down green horseshoe. Who is that? I'm not into Marvel shit. What is that?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know. I was always getting laid instead of reading that kind of shit. Anyway, you Star Wars fans. Anyway, but there was people that were there at every one of your shows. Kind of like ECW had their elite guys that were at every show that you saw in the crowd every time. Ring of Honor had that same kind of thing, and these guys were always there from, I'd say, 2002 till on. Oh my God, mine just stopped recording. No, we're good. We're still recording.
What a dick.
I swear to God, I really thought to stop recording. I looked down. I'm not even going to edit that part out. That was kind of funny. So, I swear to God, my heart stopped beating. I go, no.
I thought you were just messing with me.
I really wasn't. Anyway, Morishima, Bryan Danielson, hard-hitting match. These guys, it was just strong hitting. If you haven't had the chance to ever see a Morishima match, this is a good one. I wasn't introduced to him until I started really getting into Ring of Honor and watching these guys. And then, as you're watching it later in the day, like how I did, let's say I probably really started watching the 2002 era, 2009. I was going back. It took me till then to finally learn about him and really get deep into it. And at that time, I'm like, oh, yeah, I've seen this guy on TV. Oh, yeah, he's in TNA. Oh, yeah, he's on WWE. the fuck is Takeshi Morishima? Why is he the world champion right now? But then you start watching his matches, and you're like, where did he go? I kind of miss him. The guy was good, man. I liked him. And I said he reminds me of Kabashi and Joe, kind of a mixture of both.
Nice.
Might even talk about that later. Now we talk about the Summer of Punk, the original. We all remember the 2011 version that sucked a dick in WWE.
Yep.
But the Summer of Punk really kicked off when CM Punk's news broke on the internet, and he said, or it broke out, Ring of Honor or whatever, CM Punk is going to be signing with WWE. Little did he know he was going to be going down to FCW and going to be working in the amateur, or not the amateur, the AAA of WWE, or whatever you want to call it. Thank you. That's why you're here. And War Games.
And War Games.
But, so everybody was assuming this is it. It's his last match, and he's going to take on world champion Austin Aries. So he's not going to win his match. Why would he win the world title and leave? That's stupid. God damn it, that's what he does. He wins the title. Crowd is going nuts. I want to tell you, before he ever signed this, he's pretty much been healed the whole time. So when they're seeing this, everybody's just in love with Punk. And I think I've talked about this before. It's one of my favorite things ever, man. His post-match speech. He had you at the highest of highs just to make sure that you spread your legs enough for him to kick you right in the nuts.
Yep.
Because he told everybody a story. He's like, I like to tell you guys a tale. Basically, it was about how trusting a snake, and the snake's still going to fucking bite you one day. And he goes, and you all fell fell for this like a bunch of suckers. And the crowd just immediately starts booing him. It was honestly one of my favorite heel turns ever, just to watch it happen. And he said, I'm taking this title with me. And, I said why I love that one where the Man Up Ladder Wars match ends with a debut with Age of the Fall. Here, Punk's leaving with the title. Cool, it's over. And an 18-month delayed return, Christopher Daniels comes into the ring when Punk's back is turned and the crowd is shitting on him so much. As soon as Daniels gets in the ring, it went from a solid boo to Fallen Angel. Holy shit. And because Punk's the one that put him on the shelf for 18 months. And then they end up having a 60-minute draw between each other in this whole Summer of Punk that begins. And this is how it all kicks off, was right here against Austin Aries. But this match against Aries was phenomenal. I loved this match. I'd say probably one of Punk's top 5 matches of all time. I would only put one of the Punk Joe matches in there if I have to, if I'm going to do the top 5. This was a great match. And again, maybe it's because we all had the thought of, well, he's not going to win it. That'd be stupid.
Right.
Yeah, that was awesome. And definitely one of Austin Aries' best matches ever. Earlier, we talked about Roddy Strong. He's a mainstay in Ring of Honor for a very long time, now a part of Undisputed Era. We see him every day on TV. I'd like to see him get up to the main roster, or you send Bryan Danielson or Daniel Bryan down to NXT, because I need to see these guys fight again.
Yep.
You want to talk about a very stiff but technical match? Bryan Danielson, Roderick Strong, Supercard of Honor 2006. A lot of Danielson's matches at this time were going to like 45 to 60-minute matches. Why? Because he could.
Yep.
And he could entertain you that way. It is long, but I think it's probably one of his more technical matches because he was meeting his match. He wasn't, because Bryan Danielson was a very cocky heel, and he had a lot of great matches with Nigel and all those guys, but this one, he met a technical match that a guy that could really test his limits in ways that he'd never been tested before. Roddy was kind of up and coming. Wasn't always a fan of Roderick Strong too much. I think it actually took for him to get to WWE for me to really invest in him again.
Yeah.
I didn't mind him in Ring of Honor, maybe just because he was kind of on a underlooked statement for me because I like so many other guys. But I don't know. Either way, this is a great match between two guys we're seeing on TV today. And like I said, I really hope we get to see a WWE version one day. You would figure with the amount of guys we have, we should be seeing a brand new match every day.
You should be, but yeah.
Now we come into, these guys already made our list earlier. Number 6, Kevin Steen and El Generico. This is a fight without honor match, and this happened 2 years prior to their ladder war match. This is one I already actually alluded to. If Kevin Steen loses this match at Final Battle 2010, he is done with Ring of Honor. Again, they're a tag team. It goes all the way into a fight without honor match, and that means no rules, because everything in everything in Ring of Honor is by the code of honor. There's no cheating really that you should be doing. All the rules are out the window in this match, and Generico takes the win, of course, because I already gave that away earlier. But a fight without honor match, Generico and Steen, we're talking two best friends. They know how to protect each other, but they know what's going to take to make each other bleed, or whatever the case is, to perform and make everybody go home happy and the right moves. And again, taking care of your guy. Great match. I love watching matches between guys who are like brothers or friends and stuff, because those are usually your best matches because they work together. They know each other inside and out. Probably why Brett versus Owen is one of the best matches of all time. And I got to say, Jim Ross said that. He said that match stole the show at WrestleMania 10. Oh, yeah, everybody says the ladder match, the ladder match, the ladder match. I don't even care for that ladder match. I think Hardy's, Edge and Christian, and Dudley's was a way better match than Razor and Shawn ever.
Right.
Personally, that's me. Brett and Owen stole that show.
No, Brett Owen is a way better story and a better match, really, overall.
Oh, man, I got to go back on one more thing with Dark Side of the Ring. They didn't really show you this in WWE's version, of WrestleMania. I'd never seen it, but when they're countering moves back and forth, Owen kicks him in the head, and Brett does a point up, like, hey, and the kick really looks real when he looks up at him, and I'm like, it's partial you're playing character, but are you also partially playing Big Brother? Like, yo, don't fucking do that again. It looked real, the look he gave him, pointed at. I love that part. But yeah, man, when you can trust in each other, and you're going to have a great match. And Steen, or Owens and Zayn will say, they're always going to have great matches with each other.
Sure.
They started doing it in WWE, man, and I think that they could still do it any day. I mean, we all knew. I mean, do you remember the WrestleMania 32 drinking game that came out? There was all these things that would happen. As soon as Zayn and Owen start relentlessly punching each other to take a shot. And it happened right away. They see each other and bam, 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 punching right away. And the crowd would go nuts. And take a shot. That was the one. But yeah, I love watching those two guys, especially El Generico. What a name. Just a white guy that is in a Mexican mask. He's American. He's got a red beard. He couldn't look any more ginger. You know what I mean? And it was just perfect, and because he's just a generic wrestler wearing a mask. That was the whole point behind it. Kevin Steen was an awesome character because he's a good guy, but he does bad tendency things.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He was awesome, and he's still awesome. I hope they do better things with him, by the way.
Yes, they do.
I think he should have grown huge right after WrestleMania, but somehow Seth Rollins, as the loser, is still being pushed heavier than anybody. You give me that. Because he is the man to the man. Number 5. I've actually given you guys this match before as a Professor's suggested match. This is one of my top 5 favorite matches of all time. We're talking Do Fixer taking on Blood Generation. This match happens at Supercard of Honor 2006. Forgive me if I don't get these all enunciated correctly, but we're going to say it was Sima, Masato Yoshino, and Nuraku Doi. Is that what you would go with? Doi?
Sure, yeah.
I feel like I'm like, Doi. I don't want to say it the wrong way. And
Actually, it's actually Shima is the one you got wrong.
I said Yoshino.
No, Sima. You said Sima. Shima.
Oh. Zima? Like the drink?
No, not Zima. Shima, you jerk.
I know. You jerk. And they took on Dragon Kid, Genki Horiguchi, and Ryo Saito. Or Ryo Saito.
You got it.
Those 6 guys.
You did very well.
That's why I've always called it Do Fixer versus Blood Generation, because it was just how it was presented to me. Man, this match has no wrestling psychology to it at all. But you want to say one of the best fast-paced cruiserweight 6-man spot fest type matches of all time? This is the best one. This is Lucha House rules, man, or not Lucha House Party rules. This is a Lucha Libre tag type thing, kind of like you see with the Lucha Brothers, Pentagon and Rey Fenix. They don't tag; they just join in anytime they feel like they're ready. Yeah, there are no rules, and that's how this match goes. I don't even know who's on anybody's team half the time when you're watching it. I'm just amazed. No, because like they're coming in at such fast times. You're like, what side of the ring is he supposed to tag from? No one's tagging. They're just jumping in and doing shit. And that's the thing is you don't have to tag. If you jump in and decide to be there, a guy can leave. That's it. Match is still going. It's confusing. I don't know who's on anybody's team. I just know how the match ends. And it's one of the best endings, man. A flipping Hurricane Rana off of the top rope. The guy was on the top rope, flipped, and then turned it into a Hurricane Rana. I don't know what that is labeled, but holy shit, what an awesome match. Very just non-stop 20-minute fast-paced wrestling. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is one of the first ones I ever introduced you to from Ring of Honor 2 back in the day. I love this match. Coming in next at number 4, we have Bryan Danielson taking on Kenta. That's right, you know Kenta as the former Hideo Itami. He's now in the Bullet Club, and now he's finally getting the right recognition that he deserves. He was given it in Ring of Honor, he was given it in Japan, really not given it in WWE. These two, they stole the show 15 years ago as Ring of Honor had Glory by Honor 5. And these guys were They stole the show that night, and I bet you put these guys on any card anywhere together, and they're going to steal that show again. Kind of a match I wish that we got to see in WWE. You know, I mean, Hideo Itami was around, and then he wasn't. Then Bryan Danielson comes back. Both of these guys can go. I think Kenta got shortchanged by WWE.
Big time.
Could have been because of injury, but even when he came back, they just didn't present him in the right light. And then they're like, hey, we're going to put you on 205 Live.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
It was a giant signing when he came. I mean, the crowd was chanting Kenta before you even put Hideo Itami's name across the board. What was weirder is actually that bothers me, man. He came out with the name Kenta across the top of the board, and then he goes, but my name is, and then they point, and it goes, whoosh, Hideo Itami. I go,
know.
That was stupid. I'm going to call you Kenta.
Yeah, right. His mama named him Kenta. I'm going to call him Kenta.
How many Coming to America references
break out the soul glow bumper?
Oh my god, his mama call him Clay, I'm gonna call him Clay. He was a bad mamma jamma or a bad motherfucker, depending on which program you're watching.
The TNT version, maybe. You know.
I do like the bad mamma jamma for some reason. Arsenio Hall saying that.
Works.
All right. I talked about this match already. And this is, if you are a friend of mine and you're like, hey, man, I don't watch wrestling, but show me something wrestling, it's probably going to be one of the very first things I ever show you. Because I want you to get invested as to how bad something can hurt and how much of your body you put on the line in a match and how this thing is not as fake as you think it is. Kenta Kobashi versus Samoa Joe. The name of the pay-per-view was just Joe versus Kobashi. That's all you needed. You didn't need to name it anything else. Just put their fucking names on it and it's going to sell. And it did. This match is the stiffest match ever that I've ever personally watched, but definitely that Ring of Honor has ever put on. The smacking, the chest, the chops, the bumps, Jesus, I can't even count the number of times that Joe legitimately landed on top of his head. I'm not saying like it looks like he landed on his head. He landed on his head. But so did Kobashi. They were literally dropping each other on their necks and heads. I'm like, oh, they're dead.
Yeah.
Stiff match. Kobashi looks like he's 70. I don't know what his real age is, but like he looks like he's way older than Joe. It has given Joe the beating of a lifetime. Something Joe has never seen before. Two of my favorite parts in this match. Joe is in the corner. Kobashi just keeps chopping and chopping and chopping. He's going a real fast pace, like a pop, 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 pop. And then as he's slowing down, the crowd's with him. And the crowd's cheering him on so much that he goes, pop, 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 and goes right back at it. Slows down again. And then he goes again. The crowd cheers him more. I'm like, dude, I tried doing it just for fun, slapping my hand upward that many times. Couldn't do it if I wanted to, man. Like, you're doing it at that hard a pace. I'm like, how's your arm not dead? Joe's chest legitimately is black and blue as he's going away from the arena. Backstage interviews after the match, he's being iced down by Jay Lethal because he was like his protege. That's one thing I like by Ring of Honor. They used to you'd have your protege come to the ring with you. He may be in the opener match as you're trying to show your young lions or top prospects, but he's going to come to the ring because he's your guy. I like that. And they stopped doing it a long time ago, and I wish that's a very...
Yeah, that's cool.
Man, I think it's awesome. And I think that's why Jay Lethal's as good as he is, man. He literally stood in Joe's corner for years. But my second favorite part of this match is the ending. There's a bunch of chops, and they're hitting each other, and they're in the middle of the ring. Kabashi gives Joe a double hand karate chop right to the shoulder. And just as Kabashi goes to hit the ropes, you hear Joe scream out like almost a cry. He goes, ah! I'm not sure if he was telling him to go home because there's no talking in this match. There's a language barrier. They didn't plan this match out because there was a language barrier between the both of them.
Oh, great.
That's something you got to... Oh, man, I've read a couple of different Joe interviews or shoot-style interviews of him talking. They didn't plan much out. They just went out there and beat the shit out of each other. And they knew that the go home was a lariat. That's all Kabashi had to know. And Joe gave him the signal. You watch, it's a screaming cry out. And I don't think it was because he wanted to sell the effect. I think he was in fucking pain. He's like, just put me out of my misery right here. And what's two best things out of that, man, is at the end, Joe's walking away. He has his arms in the air, and he says, ROH forever. And to the crowd, because they're chanting ROH, and it was because it really was. And they kept chanting Match of the Year, which it was. And in the back, in that interview where Joe is bruised and being iced down, he says, you won this battle. The war ain't over. And it's sad because you're never going to see those two go again, man. Maybe it's for the better. Maybe we don't need to see them fight again because the first time, you're never going to top the first.
Nope.
Even if you try to make a second different match, you're not going to do it. I like it where it's at. That's a great match. Have I ever suggested that one yet? I don't think I have.
I don't think so.
Well, guess what? That is the one I'm actually suggesting today. I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead to tell you that my professor's suggested match of the week is Joe versus Kabashi 2005. Coming in at number 2, man, it was a 3-way tiebreaker, to be honest with you. I had to put 3 matches in one, but it's because it's all the same. It is Bryan Danielson and Nigel McGuinness. They had 3 stellar matches that you can't decide between, because these guys were just so technically matched. They were sound wrestlers against each other, man. They were so, we're talking stiff, but submissive, and just technical, everything. Any word you ever want to say for wrestling, these guys would have it in their matches. At Unified 2006, Domination 2007, and Rise Above 2008. These guys had some of the best matches that not only Ring of Honor has ever had, but we've ever seen here in the States. Nigel, this was propelling him, and we just talked about him in TNA last week. That 2008 Rise Above match, 2 years later, you're going to see him taking on Angle in TNA. So, we're talking, a couple years later, he is now becoming Desmond Wolfe. He was going to be hitting a better peak of his career until health, unfortunately, took over the negative way. But I'll say a positive way. The guy's here alive today. He didn't go to a point where he hurt himself so bad and couldn't live. I'm glad that he is a commentator. I'd actually rather listen to him on commentary all day long compared to most commentators.
Sure.
But you want to see some of your best wrestling matches of all time. If you want to see the best of Nigel McGuinness and really the best of Bryan Danielson, these are the matches to watch. I know we've seen some great Daniel Bryan matches. I know we've seen a couple of good Bryan Danielson matches, like I said, against Homicide. These are their showcase matches. If you said show me one match from either one of the guys, I'm going to show you them against each other.
Yeah, I think one of the important things to think about when, maybe not so much TNA, maybe more Ring of Honor, but the important thing to understand with these is these guys are hungry at these points in their career. They're not established names. They're not making a shit ton of money. ROH, even though it's, it's got a foothold, it's not what NXT or what AEW is now. It's not really even what TNA is or Impact. So, you know, like I said, at the time, these guys were young, they were hungry, and they were trying to make this company something great.
And at this time, they've already been over the world like 4 times.
Yeah.
You know, like they've been all over the place. But it just wasn't catching that full buzz, like you're saying. They weren't the big names that you heard every day. We just don't have it like we do now. You know, like we know who Kazuchika Okada is because it's a different game as opposed to when Daniel Bryan was going over to Japan or anything like that. We didn't hear a lot of that stuff back then because social media wasn't, well, I mean, fuck, social media just unfortunately took the life of someone. But, you know, good and the bad, right? But you're right, man. They were hungry. They needed people to hear their names.
Yep.
And these matches right here, they did it. You know, and I think if you're going to talk about how WWE ever heard about who Samoa Joe was or who CM Punk was, it was what number 1 comes in at. It's Joe versus Punk 2. Because this match wasn't just a Ring of Honor match, man. I mean, it was their second meeting after a 60-minute draw. But what's big about this is you have Mick Foley and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat in attendance that night. They were there. And you know they went back to Vince and was like, sign these guys. And I don't mean like, oh, you know. Sit back and watch Punk and Joe straight shooting. It's an interview where they straight shoot about all 3 of their matches. And they talk about Ring of Honor and they talk about traveling. And how Mick Foley went and vouched for both of those guys. WWE said, yeah, we don't want Joe. He doesn't have the look. He's too big. He's too fat. And then they bring him over later when he's like 50 pounds heavier.
Exactly, yeah. Figure that one out.
But it's okay because he never would have been showcased in WWE, even the way he was in TNA. I don't like 100% how he was showcased in TNA, but at least he was on the goddamn TV.
Right.
You know, like, you can't tell me they would have had him rivaling in 2005 against John Cena. Wouldn't have happened.
Nope.
They would have kept him on mid-card at best. So it was for the better for Joe to do the Ring of Honor stuff in TNA.
Right.
And make WWE, you know what, I'll end my career there. Because I think he got to do the wrestling he wanted to, at least. He never would have been able to be the Samoan submission machine he is now or anything, or that he was. But same with CM Punk. This match, I feel like, really put him on the map. What I loved about this match, it's in Chicago. It, again, goes to a 60-minute draw. What? You did that on the first one. Why are you doing it on a second?
Yeah.
And it's so you knew it was inevitable they were going to have the third match. One thing that Punk and Joe both say about in that straight shooting interview, neither of them wanted to have that third match that soon. They didn't even want the second match that soon. They wanted to space it out, make people want that match. You went from June for the World Title Classic, and now it's October for Joe vs. Punk 2. If you were going to, I think it shouldn't have gone to a 60-minute draw that night too, especially in Punk's hometown. But you also don't want to have him put his shoulders to the mat in his hometown because Chicago is a hot crowd. This match, or their third match, which was at All-Star Extravaganza at the end of 2004, it didn't make this this list because it wasn't that good a match, I don't think. It ended the feud, and it became at the hands of Joe drawing a lot of blood out of Punk, but it was nowhere near the wrestling standpoint that we saw in the first 2 matches. A headlock. Punk works a headlock for a long time, and most people go, oh, it's a rest hold. He's just sitting there resting. Nope. Every time Joe got out of the headlock, he went right back to it. Every time Joe slammed him on the back of his head, Punk was holding on to his head and keeping the headlock going. It was a very cool use of a freaking headlock. No one does that anymore.
Nope, you're absolutely right.
It was awesome. My favorite, actually, the biggest part of that match, or the biggest part of that pay-per-view that I really like, is the opening with CM Punk. He's sitting in the ring, in the arena, while things are being set up. It's bright light in the room. That's how they used to do a lot of the opener of Ring of Honor pay-per-views, was they did their promos in the arena being set up. It's all lit and stuff, and that's how they would do it. Hey, tonight I'm going to kick your ass and blah, 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 whatever. Punk was him sitting in the corner. and he tells a very cool story. He goes, yeah, I lost, or he goes, I didn't beat Samoa Joe. He goes, but let me tell you something, Joe. There's no way you're going to pin or submit me in my hometown. And he goes, let me tell you guys a little story. He was at home eating dinner with his family. He goes, when I was a kid, I lost a lot of fights. He goes, but that day someone came and knocked on my door and came to my house and challenged me. He goes, and I didn't look pretty, but I won. He goes, you know why? Because you knocked on my door at my home. Fuck, I swear to God, I'm getting chills right now as I'm saying this because it's so cool. And that's why I was like, he's beating Joe. Like, he just thought he was going to win it, man. But he went to another tie or a draw. But, man, if two guys are going to go to a draw, they had two totally different matches between World Title Classic and Joe vs. Punk 2. There's two different matches for sure for 120 minutes worth of wrestling.
Right.
It gets going. One thing I always want to know is what CM Punk says to the ref at the beginning of this match, because they bring both guys in, they shake hands, Punk turns to the ref and says something, and then the ref turns and rings the bell. And I'm like, I can only imagine he's like, bro, we're going 60 minutes. Will you ring this fucking bell by now? Like, we got to get going. Like,
Start the clock now.
Right, we got to get this clock, but he's still shaking hands with Joe, and he looks over and says it at the ref. I'm like, did he just tell him, yo, you should have rang this bell by now? We need every second we can. But great match. That's why it comes at number one. It really is. It was a Dave Meltzer 5-star classic. I think if it was put up against, I would put this match up against Omega Okada, no problem. All right. When you talk about one of their matches,
sure,
this would have been a 6 or 7 star. I mean, the wrestling that's involved with this, the hard hits in a small arena, man, it's so cool. And the absolute best part of this match, 30 minutes into the match, I don't know if it was their way of giving in or kind of giving it away, but the announcers go, you know what? We want to be fans. Ladies and gentlemen, here's our promos we got to say. Don't forget to go to ROHshop.com. Blah, 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 blah. Enjoy the rest of this pay-per-view. We're going to go watch. And they just took their headsets off and they went into the arena and just sat there watching it.
That's pretty
I'm not sure if they were giving it away, saying, hey, guys, it's going to go another 30 minutes and we want to enjoy it, like fans too, or they were just saying it's just so much of a classic, you don't need words. But the second half of the match has no fucking commentary, and I think that's the coolest thing.
Yeah, it's weird, but
you'll never see WWE go,
no.
Let Michael Cole go, God, this is so good, I'm going to go sit front row, guys. But that is 25 of Ring of Honor's top matches of all time. Again, my suggested match is going to be what did come in at number 3, Samoa Joe and Kenta Kobashi. Joe, geez, I just called you Samoa Joe. I'm so sorry.
Joe.
ODM, you want to talk about what's coming up in the next couple of weeks here?
Yeah, well, I think
you've been saving your voice for the last hour with only saying War Games.
No, right. Well, don't worry, because next week I'm going to make up for it, because next week we're going to be talking about the top 10 matches in AEW so far. This obviously isn't definitive. This is very early on in AEW, but I think we've got a pretty good sample size. We can pick out some bangers. There definitely have been a couple off the top of my head so far. And
all right, no lie. Here we are, right? The show is dropping right now. Most likely, I can guarantee we probably are still debating or arguing or working on this list. I'm going to throw this out there right now, man, as a suggestion. I don't know if it's going to make our list or not, because you have to really sit back and look at the rankings. And I think Jungle Boy and MJF is going to be in that top 10 somewhere. It was one of their more compelling matches.
Yep, I'll agree with you. And we won't give too much away. Like I said, there's
I'm just saying. I think coming off of this past week, that's how
it has
we got to look for a whole year's worth of stuff here.
It has to be, yeah. So,
yeah. What's going on in 2 weeks?
And in 2 weeks, we are going to have our season finale. We got some things in the works. I have a funny feeling we're going to tweak things as we get there, but the main thing is
Promo War.
I don't know who says it better, the bumper or you.
Yeah. Well, it's a little bit different than, Promo Wars is a little bit different from War Games. So
it's going to become War Games for sure.
Yeah, well.
We intend to make one of us cry. We just don't know who.
Yeah.
But the rules have been set. After we got off the air last week, we sat down and made some suggestions between each other, and the rules are set. We know what's going to happen, and next week we are going to lay out just what those rules are, because in 2 weeks we will have Promo Wars, and it will be our final episode of the season. 25 have come and gone that quick. But the good news, we're not going to furlough any wrestlers like WWE did. We're not going to get rid of any of our talent. We'll both be back next season. And we'll even maybe have more coming with us on the season. But maybe our roles will change after this promo wars. Maybe I just become a producer and never talk again. Who knows? I got to say, it was a good episode today. I had a lot of fun.
Went a lot better the second time around.
Bob Roode. Yeah, it's always better the second time around. Good stuff. Good shit.
Good shit.
I hope you guys keep joining us every week here on Google Play, Instagram, iTunes, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, MySpace, AOL.
Instagram.
I said Instagram already.
Twice.
I did I? Oh, man, now we need a fucking hat trick for Instagram?
Yeah, too many to count.
Good stuff today, everybody. Glad you guys hung with us. I am the Professor. I always like to bid you a farewell. And until we talk next week, ODM is going to leave every one of us with 24 words.
I'm not going to lie. When I saw Arn Anderson and Jake the Snake square off, I was almost hoping they would have a match.